Uh, Hello
Hello.
and welcome. One second. Seismic, how you doing?
I'm I'm doing. It is Saturday late morning or early afternoon depending on where you are in the United States and different times for other areas. And I am here with UFO.
Great. Uh, do, do. So, we're going to be jumping into it real soon. We got 5 rounds of Magic to share with you all, and a really interesting matchup to start with. One second. I need to move this thing because otherwise my eyes are going to be everywhere. Okay. So, welcome back. Hello, everyone. I I hope that you had a good week since the last tournament, and we're getting ready to have a big. What's the turnout today? I
I should probably pull that up, but
I wish I had a way to check.
it's
Um,
also just generally uh the first Gladiator Midnight Hunt tournament.
True. Yeah, a new set came out. Um,
Yeah.
I'm I kind of forgot.
Well, I think partly it's because we're not on Thursdays anymore, so we don't have to like fight with Scryfall and Melee to have them update everything like the first second that everything goes live. Uh, we
True.
kind of get lost in the sauce. And yeah, a lot of new cards came out and a lot of them are in fact pretty good. Um, and yeah, we're seeing a lot of interesting decks, a lot of fun games of Magic, and we're gonna start with Mono White versus Mono White,
Yeah, we're there.
featuring Manny Calavera and LMNOP. Um, and let's get right into it.
Yeah. So the mono white matchup, especially. Oh wait. Okay, I can't see anything anymore.
Okay,
That's okay. Especially in the mirror, is very reliant on early aggression, early plays, and just getting a snowbally sort of board state, I'd say.
yeah,
And so far, we've seen both players start with a 1 mana 2/1, and LMNOP now has one of the best 2 drops, especially for snowballing Luminarch Aspirant. We'll see what their opponent responds with.
Luminarch Aspirant is a really good 3/3 for two that gets bigger.
Yep.
And we're seeing our first new card of this tournament in Sun Gold Sentinel, a 3/2 for two with some pretty interesting upsides.
Okay. So with the Valor stance up, LMNOP is looking to get in here and use the Valor stance effectively as a removal spell in tandem with their creature. Um, Board is now kind of in their favor, though the way they have put things together, Luminarch Aspirant is still vulnerable to something like a what is the card? The damage equal to the number of creatures you control,
Yeah,
MDFC.
Kabira Takedown.
Kabira Takedown, which probably would have been played as a land, considering they've both been missing land drops. But
Yeah.
I would be very tempted to use it to
Ooh.
remove. Yep, Valor Stance coming on the other side. This time because they grew the soldier a little bit too far to be 4 toughness, which is the threshold for Valorous Stance.
Yeah, that's the danger. That's honestly the biggest danger with Luminarch Aspirant in this matchup is that oftentimes you are pumping creatures up enough that they can get hit by uh, various
Pardon?
kill spells,
One
whether
second.
that's like Giant Killer is one of them. Valorous Stance, we've seen 2 copies of just in this game. There's a lot of targets. And we're now seeing not necessarily a stall out by LMNOP, but we are seeing just less uh less huge plays from LMNOP. And there is a Swords to Plowshares. Uh I don't know where UFO has went, but I would say that Swords to Plowshares is potentially the best spell out of the Mystical Archives, and Mono White uses it pretty dang well.
Sorry about that. I was getting a call from my sister, who,
Ooh, fun.
um, considering we live in the same house, could potentially have been a thing I needed to really answer. Like she was locked out downstairs.
Yeah, that would be bad. You missed a bunch of removal spells and combat damage.
Yes, I see that missing land drops has been a bit of a story here. What is? Do we know what Lava Brink is naming?
Even,
Even. Good choice.
which at this point doesn't matter too much,
Redain does
since
stop it. Yeah.
Rayden is in fact odd.
Rayden, is that the name? Are you
Uh,
are you correcting me here?
I I don't know the name well enough to be an authority, but I think it's Raydan.
Very well. I have been corrected. And I have a feeling that if we wait long enough, someone in chat will also do so. Because, magic players and all that.
So Emancipation Angel is actually quite good here. Um, on either potential target of Venture or Dauntless Bodyguard. Uh,
I think that, yeah, the fact that you can reset your Dauntless Bodyguard to give the protection to a new to the invincibility to a new thing.
yeah,
Um, though currently,
not necessarily useful enough right now.
yeah. And now the question I think for this for today here, I guess they're waiting for Restoration Angel.
Yeah,
Interesting. I It makes sense. Restoration Angel to blink a thing that's being targeted, just get
just like
continued
this.
threats. The other play I was thinking, and I think I personally would have preferred, was Ranger Captain of Eos for Selfless Savior. Or
Actually, this is lethal.
yes, but Ranger Captain
Yeah,
Eos for Selfless Savior also was a similar lethal, I believe.
yeah,
Wait, no, we wouldn't have developed two flying
yeah,
threats. You're right.
yeah. So now LMNOP can put the counter on
I mean,
Effie
counter
is
or
telling me
equip.
is Redain. Yeah, counter or
Redain.
equip to swing in with 2 3-power flyers, which is going to be enough
And then
to kill.
Ranger
And
Captain is going to find something? Or
at this point,
sometimes.
anything that happens is overkill.
I
But
guess Fairy Guidemother does kill even harder.
yeah, and that's what they're
They're
gonna
going to do
do.
it. Okay. I mean,
Gonna guide mother the Luminarch aspirant, just make things even funnier.
what this also does is it says it shows that even if they did successfully kill the Redain, Restoration Angel coming in still would have gotten 3 damage in minimum
Yeah,
because yeah. And that's the power of Ranger Captain of Eos, and I believe Ranger of Eos is also in these deck lists. I don't have them immediately up.
let's.
What? Yeah, I see.
So, uh, both are playing Ranger of Eos as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Completely understandably.
yeah. Right now, there's just a lot of really good 1-drops. And
Well, really good one drops. The biggest thing Ranger of Heroes can do, especially right now, is get a
Stone
giant killer
Coil.
or a fairy guide mother,
Oh yeah,
like we saw there.
yeah,
Oh, new card and
and
fateful absence. Premium removal in white from here on out.
it's doing exactly what was needed to do, which is to get rid of this Redain in order to develop a one more snow land that would have otherwise entered tapped,
But now we're on the other side of Luminarch Aspirant.
which
So
is another threat that probably needs to be answered here.
you see, I agree, but if I think the play I'm looking at and I expect to happen is Ranger Captain is gonna get is at some point going to be used to acquire a giant killer, which will kill this Luminarch Aspirant because it looks like
They're
Manny
going to be
Caldera
pumping it up,
is
yeah.
looking to pump up the Luminarch Aspirant itself. I don't think they're going to get the giant killer now because that reveals their hand and what they're trying to play. So I think I'm more into just grabbing like Esper Sentinel.
Yeah. I think, frankly, if I were in this scenario, I would have played Redain,
Yeah,
which
interesting.
grabbing
Is
Stonequill,
Lawrune Enforcer can tap down some things though, can it?
yeah.
With the extra 1 mana. So getting a Stone Cold is not suspicious, like I guess you could say.
Resplendent Angel is a very fun thing to see here. Um,
Yeah,
I haven't seen this card in a while.
and I believe no, that's a clue token.
Yeah.
Okay, I said if that was a treasure token, they'd be able to potentially activate next turn, but it's not.
Tap the Resplendent
Terranika,
Angel. Element OP has a lot of really good 3-drops here, which is absolutely fine for them since they have this Lockrune Enforcer to just keep using all of their mana really well.
yeah. Also, notably, Terranika and Stone Cold Serpent have very good synergy.
Yes.
Where the Stone Cold Serpent will be fully buffed by the Terranika modifying its base power and toughness. Um,
Maul of the Skyclaves.
this is a lot of flying and not a lot of ways to stop it.
Yeah. Maul continues to be just the most premier equipment for white.
Yeah.
It
I'm kind of going back on my stance earlier with that Ranger Captain search. I think you did want to just reveal your hand and grab the giant killer.
yeah. Although you'll have a chance to do it here.
Yeah, I assume
Yeah.
it's going to be Restoration Angel, Blink the Ranger Captain, get a 1 drop, likely giant killer that
I hope it's
solves some of
Giant
these
Killer at this
problems.
point.
Yeah. Wait,
Like,
I was saying likely because I don't know. Maybe there's some other 1 drop that does it better. I don't think there is, but
I don't think there is either.
I'm not one to judge. Luminarch Aspirant is finally big enough to be hit by Giant Killer, and it needs to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Resplendent Angel is in the danger zone of land activate ability, and this is a life swing that is going to be very hard to come back from.
They're also
Um,
just, even if they didn't hit a land here, uh, they still can just equip the Maul and go to town on uh with the other remaining flyers.
yeah, I also just slight correction though. The Law of an Enforcer was going to be able to tap down the Resplendent Angel for
Yes.
the rest of the rest of time. I'm kind of surprised to not see Tomek getting in. They do.
Yeah.
Manny Calera does seem to be on the beatdown, but there is a decent chunk of stuff coming on the other side. So
Okay, so now they
um,
can play one of their 3-drops and then still hold up both of their tappers. I
yeah,
think
I
yeah,
would
I
say
think
I'm currently on the like both of the tappers is an option. The other option that was existed was Stone Cold for 5,
or for
and
yeah, for 5 and
well,
leave up Larune or just
yeah,
flat
Stone
out for
Coil for
6.
5, leave up Law Rune. You can tap down the Resplendent Angel if you feel a need
Yeah.
to, and then they only get in. They can't get in with the other ones because it still has reach. Daybreak Charger, whatever this is targeting, that is that is the
Yeah,
very
that's
correct
the correct
target.
choice.
And I think this does force the trade.
Um,
I
it doesn't
think
necessarily force it, but it does heavily incentivize it.
I would be surprised if they don't take it. Well, not even offering
Whoa,
it.
not even
That's
offering the trade.
yeah.
Barbed
Again,
Spike is,
this is a bit of a board stall, so to
yeah.
speak. It's not and it's not going Cavalera's way. They're just a little bit behind when it comes to resources and ability here. The tappers are really getting to be a problem.
So LMNP is recognizing that any of these trades that could happen are
Beneficial.
very profitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we're seeing Barbed Spike in this list, which is uh, one of my favorite cards from
Yeah.
Historic Horizons.
1
And
second. Let me do some quick math. Lauren Manny is dead if they don't have a fifth creature here.
oh yeah, because they can tap down 4 creatures.
Yep. And then Terranica is +5. Oh no,
And
Manny is at
there's a creature.
1 if they didn't have a fourth creature. They would be dead if they had the ability. No, they would have been dead. This does save them, I think.
Um, well, okay, so they have
Well, let's see. Tap down 2 things, 4/5/3/3, animate Faceless Haven, attack in, would force you block a 4, you block a 4, and then you take so you block 1/4 and you still take you go to 1, I believe. I think this line goes to puts them to 1. The math is
that's
hard.
yeah, math is hard. Not tapping down the Resplendent Marshal here.
That's dangerous because when Resplendent Marshal dies, it does also do the thing to pump. I just don't know if there's any
Yeah.
more humans in the graveyard because if there are, then that's a problem.
Um, yeah, they had to
For
block in a way that
is
made a
this is,
trade
is this
anyway.
exact lethal?
Oh,
Okay,
this is more than lethal. Okay.
okay. I think my math might have been a little off previously because I thought we were 1 under with the regular attack.
I stayed up too late last night to do math, so
Well,
and that is mono white versus mono white. Mono white got some fun new tools in this set, especially in terms of removal. With is
with what's up?
is Fateful Absence the second best removal spell for mono white?
I mean, considering Fateful Absence is just creatures, yeah? Destroy target
Creature
creature?
or planeswalker.
Oh.
So I think it probably
I
goes Swords, Fateful Absence, Deck and Stone.
yes, also my apologies. I I'm merging into my beard right now. You still can see my oh, over here. My guild mat though. No, 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 never mind.
You're becoming
Um
one with the artifacts.
but I think you can still hear me, so I'm gonna keep
Yes.
talking. Um where the I think Swords is still
Swords is still
probably
the
better,
best. Yeah.
but Fateful Absence is definitely playing a very close second.
Yeah.
And
And
by some people's account, might be above Path in further Eternal formats than
yeah.
ours.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see where that ends up in relation to like Path and uh in relationship to Path, which we obviously don't have in this format, but uh even still, it's taking a really good second removal slot. And
Well, also being able to hit planeswalkers is very rare for
yeah,
white that early.
and so
Um,
that's kind of why we in this list are seeing the three main removal spells being Swords to Plowshares, Fateful Absence, and Deckenstone. With
True.
one,
Muzi does also bring up the fact that prismatic ending is a bit of a interesting one. But
yeah.
next up in round one, I try to where what?
So I
Okay,
heard
I've
you
lost.
like. So we just watched an aggro mirror. What if we went to a mid range, not quite mirror?
Which is Jund midrange versus Joker. Desperado's out on Jund midrange versus Joker Boney on Bant midrange. Okay, I see this.
And this is already pretty spicy. We're seeing the Meat Hook Massacre.
Yeah,
It
I if I'm looking at
had
this correctly, yes, this is 100% across the other side of the field here. Jund Kratz, I guess you could say, Jund Sacrifice. The player just commented on acquiring a Corvold Faker's King for this deck. Um, and I think most of this is going to be creatures that can die okay.
yeah, creatures that die pretty well. I'm noticing some of the Midnight Hunt inclusions include Vengeful Strangler. Uh,
Oh, yeah, which is a really interesting card because you don't
yeah.
ever really want to block it. Um,
Um,
because that
no,
aura is
much
it
worse.
it's painful.
And I
Um,
think we're gonna see the end of the first game here.
yeah,
Uh,
Ranger class
af
kind of coming off
yeah,
real good here. Um, it's
Ranger
one of the
class
reasons
is
I love
just
the card.
insane. Yeah.
Yep.
It means your opponent can never stop drawing gas, and if they do, they just lose.
Well, there's three effects like it on Arena now. The Monsters Advocate allows you to look at top card of your library and play it as a creature. Vizier the Menagerie does the same thing.
We actually
Um,
have five right now in that case.
and what do you mean five?
So the other two are is the Changeling that only does it for one creature type,
Oh, I don't count
and
those.
uh the new 3-drop that's a Courser of Crufix and also has that ability if you have Coven.
Yeah, those are conditional, but I'm more talking about like you play it and you are able to cast your creatures from the top of
Yeah.
your library. Ranger class is one of the best ones for just
Oh, by
continued
far.
value because not one of the best ones in general because I think Monster Advocate is more overwhelming, but Ranger class is much harder to justify removing
Yeah.
from an opponent because like it makes a token that starts being a problem. So I need to use they need to remove two different things on Ranger class, especially if you're going to late game, and that's a really good way to have a card like that.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've seen the day night cycle
Yeah.
on cast. Very nice little stained glass animation for that.
Ooh. And it's a really good example to show it off because it also has uh an example of ward for discarding a card, which isn't a great cost to pay, but I don't think Joker Boning minds too much because blue cards are kind of dead right now.
Yeah, um, I I would imagine that they would have preferred to be able to play this incubation druid and get things happening.
Another shadow, not shadows over Innistrad, another Midnight
Oh, we
Hunt
got
removal
shadows.
spell
Oh my god,
in Defenestrate to throw
great card
someone out of a
name.
removal, throw someone out of a window in
That
black
is
common
the
removal.
literal meaning of the word. Yes.
Um, And so, goodbye Prince, and goodbye Incubation Druid.
Botanical Sanctum comes in, and we're back in the races. Nimble
Yeah,
Obstructionist is another threat.
is
Missing land drops, though, especially with the hand that they have, is not ideal. We're really hoping to
yeah,
see land 4. Oh,
that can
well,
count.
that often will do it. I think Bizarre Trade Mage draws 2 cards, then you need to lose
One of
3.
those is a land, and
I okay, you're losing all the 4 drops. I personally would
well,
keep
losing all the fives.
yeah, so losing all the 5 drops. I personally would keep Vivian's Monsters Advocate because I just think that that will give you what you need a lot of the
Your
case.
your two fours here though will close out the game.
They're very powerful, and uh, 5 mana on the Skeletal Swarming is just like I get people's love for the card.
Oh, it's an amazing card in the sense that it is so cool and fun.
Uh, this is just
That's lethal.
this is lethal without anything else. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they
Um,
shocked themselves to
yeah,
do it.
shocking themselves made this lethal regardless. But
I mean, it's not that the shock, like the shock didn't end up mattering in the end in the long run,
yeah, in the
but
end. But if say Joker Boney had not drawn a removal spell there, then
they would have been at 1.
yeah, they would have been at 1. Probably still died, but
Yeah,
even then, it's
it's that was a lesson in why even in a deck that loves having a bunch of extra bodies, skeletal swarming is often
not enough.
it's just too slow.
Yeah.
It's too slow for something that really can't ever be defensive.
Yeah, not ever being able to block really hurts the card's chances.
Yeah,
There's
and it
just
doesn't
so
and
much
like
that you need to do in that side of the board.
I think there's a card that exists in Magic that would probably function a little bit cleaner. Um, um, in like playing Assemble a Legion, I believe. But even that card takes several turns to start ramping up into like unbeatable value,
Yeah.
right? Also, I think it's possible that the shock was required because the thriving land didn't name
Wasn't on the
green.
right color, yeah. Oh, well, no, the Thriving
Yeah.
Land was the Thriving Grove, which
Okay,
naturally
then
taps
there's
for
no
green.
way. Yeah, the shock wasn't needed then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and Desperado's odds in chat saying that they would have gotten Skeletal Swarming out a turn or two earlier. Which I get. I'm still not convinced that it would have helped.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The unfortunate truth is that those skeletons never block.
Yeah, and you they were put in a position where they were needing blockers, and flying blockers specifically, which is not as there.
Yeah. Notably, we didn't get to see how that meat hook massacre in the first game panned out. Like
It saved them a few
how
times.
it started. But yeah, it did save them a couple of times, and I'm assuming in the turn that it was played, it either was on a turn that they could afford to do little, or that it
It was
very
like X
likely
equals
wiped
2
the
and cleared
board.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the thing about Meat Massacre also is thinking back to the first game, right? It's one of those cards that you don't really think about in mid range every once in a while, but having the ability to like X equals 1 and Meat Massacre early on in the game and clear out like the swarm of X1s that your mono white opponent has,
yeah,
especially the X1s that get indestructible for other reasons, is the
yeah.
is a very
So
interesting use of the card, and I think how I see it moving forward, um, in my own eyes at least, where it's going to be used
also
as a
apparently
potential board wipe,
it yeah, apparently it just acted as a really good board
a
wipe.
big board
Uh,
wipe later on
uh,
in the game. It looks like.
yeah, and that's kind of where it shines. I haven't played with it in Gladiator yet, but I've definitely played with it in Draft, where it works really well both with and against Decayed, and the fact that they're all 2/2s. And uh, I think
I
even in
guess that
this
makes sense,
format,
yeah.
there's a lot of really small creatures, at least in the toughness department, uh, including if you're going against like aggro for mono white or mono red. Like sometimes you just play it on X like equals 2 and manage to kill 3 things,
Mhm.
and then you're gaining a bit of life to help stave off aggro. Uh, you might be making him lose life throughout the game. Um, but yeah, that was certainly 2 games of Magic, and uh, yeah, Joker Boney's talking about it in chat. It's really tough in 3-color mid range to work around the mana. Um, and I think
Yeah, you
that
can
caused
easily fall into a trap there.
Yeah, and I think that caused problems for both players in that game too, where uh, not being able to get out an island made shoreline scout useless, whereas it could have been really good fixing potentially, but no
Hmm.
blue. And then uh,
And then the
later,
fact that Storyline Scout is being played in a deck where you have to be turning lands into the tropical island
yeah,
in most cases, where it's just not as it's not as consistent in bringing you up lands as it would be in like a Merfolk deck
yeah,
when you need it to. It's still fine in the deck that Joker was playing it being a 1/1 that can kind of just be a throwaway blocker that also helps you fix your mana in most cases where where you're not like keeping a hands without blue.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, and I think that Midnight Hunt has done. I think my favorite thing for a format, where it gives a lot of cards that have a lot of really neat uses, but doesn't give any real cards that you're like, oh, this is so obviously too good that it's breaking things. There's just a lot of really nice, fun games. Um, and with that, I think we're gonna take a little break here.
yeah, I think the last thing I'll say though is we saw we're seeing a lot of we're still seeing a lot of monocolored aggro, especially mono white aggro coming out today. I believe it's 4 mono white aggro lists to 3 mono red aggro lists as the 2 top archetypes in this particular series. If
Uh,
if my if I'm looking at here is correct.
yeah, that looks pretty correct.
And I would not be surprised if the sort of slight uptick of mono white, because usually it's a little bit more red than white,
Yeah,
even though those are still almost always the top archetypes when it comes to density, is because of the new removal spell and just how much that is and what it does.
yeah. Red also got some new toys. They got a strictly better shock. Um, and
Yes, but it's not
shock
that
has
much
not been
better,
yeah, it's not
but
a
it's not
huge
that much
improvement, but
worse. Yeah.
it's an improvement.
Yep. And I think with that, we're going to go on a quick break while we wait for this round to end, get um, a moment to recollect everything and ourselves, and we'll see you all in just a moment. Hello, everyone. 1 second while I reset. So we got a little bit of time left in round one. One match is going. What? We don't? Oh, we just finished? I've been told that we just finished. So we got a little bit of time before round two. And um, with that in mind, I think we're gonna sort of take some time and talk about what weird things from Midnight Hunt have come to the format that we have yet to see. And one of the weird things is grafted identity. You know the whole. You remember the whole story about this seismic?
Oh yeah, it has a different art on Arena than in paper. Not
Yeah,
and this isn't the normal case
of like
because
skulls being removed. Like probably Massive
yeah,
Crystal brand has a different art in the Chinese arena
yeah.
version
We, we
than.
have we have a good number of examples of art on the Chinese version of Magic Arena being different from the uh at least the US version. This is the first example where it's just a different art.
Art entirely.
Yeah.
And it might be an ESRB thing. Like, I don't know.
That's a very strange thing. Yeah, it's also a very strange thing to get hung up on. Um,
Because
because the
specifically, the arena art is, in my opinion, more grotesque than the art that we
yeah,
see in paper.
the paper art is
Like a
uh
human face being
less
stolen.
yeah, is less grotesque but like more generally unnerving in my
Hmm.
opinion. But I don't think the two being different is like a significant change in like how they're rated and such.
No.
And so
But
like
now, that card aside, I have some really interesting things to talk about for my own pet deck, Paradorks.
Paradox got a
Um,
lot this set.
it it got a lot, but not in the way that you think. Like last set, we got three new 2 mana any color dorks.
Yeah,
Um,
and a oh yeah, that's for Historic Horizons, and then the set
yes.
before you got a way to win the game, like
Oh,
from
but you had to add black mana. Like, you already could win
yeah,
the game, but the addition of black mana, it added a lot. Um,
yeah,
but specifically stuff like Seraph the Viper's Fang, 2 and 2 green for 3/4, and specifically says untapped creatures you control have hexproof. All your creatures are now Paradise Druids.
yeah,
The more protection you can have for your board, honestly, the better. And then the other abilities, when your creatures are tapped, they have Death Touch.
and then you can
That's a
untap a
really cool
creature.
thing. Well, also that's a really cool thing when you're playing with mana dorks,
Yeah,
because you now have this thing where you can attackers can come in, you can block them, and then tap your mana dork to make it Death Touch.
yeah, and on
Um,
top of that, it also just has 4 toughness, which
yep,
is
not the
I
hugest
think
thing, 4 mana 3/4, but
yeah, but 4 toughness is just really good at dodging the good damage based removal in the format. Like,
the popular ones, yeah,
yeah,
cool.
like at the very least, the really good 1 mana removal and a lot of the good and often played 2 mana removal. Um,
Hmm.
like it dodges lightning bolt, strike, shock, the new shock that's better, frostbite, all that jazz.
Also, we got our, I think, sixth duress art on Arena. Fifth,
Yeah,
sixth. It's over 4 now. It might have already
duress,
been over 4.
duress just is a card that's really good for limited formats
Yeah,
and
and
doesn't
also pretty
require a
good for
lot
our
of
format
thought.
as well.
Yeah.
Still looking through some of these cards. I remember there were a few that I was looking at that were interesting. I haven't gotten a amazing chance. Oh, Unruly Mob reprint. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not for us, but it's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think did we get that in a jump start? No, we got it
Maybe.
in did we get that in war?
No clue. You got me
I let me
confused.
check this. Uh
Another interesting thing, the new 2 mana human legend, green and a white. Fourth duress art, um, yeah, sixth duress art, yeah. So, because there's a duress art that you might not know, because you have the Ixalan duress art, we have mm, the core set duress art, which was printed twice.
yeah.
Uh, We have the special event dress art
Yeah,
that
the one that you can't get anymore.
never could, never can from here on. And then, so Elixirlon special event, uh, core set, and then the two different arts of duress from the archive. That's five, and then you got the sixth from this art.
Yeah. Uh, the card I
But
was
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about,
go, yeah.
the card I was thinking about in relationship to Unruly Mob was actually uh Rising Populace, which is a 3 mana 2/2 version of it.
Ah,
Um,
but also hits planeswalkers.
yeah, but also cares about planeswalkers dying. Yeah,
Not that that matters much, but you know,
in the format it mattered a bit.
true.
Um,
Um, so
okay, and we have
uh,
our
yeah, the last
first
thing I'll say
feature
while we're
match.
grabbing something, you pull that up. One, two. The other thing is that the new human legend that makes all your humans tap for extra mana of their colors.
Is that anything?
It might mean that we completely change how the deck is built when it comes to that.
Like,
Because we have a bunch of humans that tap for mana.
and there's
Um,
also a bunch of like utility humans.
yep.
And
So
we
we're going into round two real quick, and
and we're seeing some really interesting decks here, including a 5 color
combo deck.
Vanifar combo deck.
Yep. Versus EMG, a player that's been, I'm pretty sure, in the tournament scene for a little while, on Bant Control. Both players fighting to keep their. Okay. Um, Looking to keep their undefeated from round one record alive. Bant Control, let me open this deck up because this is what we're going to be watching, is a fairly, it's a bit of a blast to the past, honestly. It looks like I'm looking at a deck from last year. Uh, Bant, Wilderness Reclamation, using a bit of a Planeswalker suite, and
Including
going,
the new Renin 7.
and yeah, and then also a few, one of the fairies that I don't personally see value in, but that's just me,
In the mono
apparently.
blue M21 Teferi.
Yeah, the 4 mana one. I don't like that card. I think it's very slow and often not impactful. But yeah, doing the Bant thing of a suite of rats, but now also a whole bunch of white-based targeted removal.
Yeah.
So we get to see how that goes. Bit of counter magic. Honestly, a bit of a heart suite of wraths. Uh, Effie, a suite of wraths. Um,
Yes.
Gonna be a
That's
bit of
a
a hard one to fight through.
yeah.
Though, notably, I believe that this deck does not yet have the new 2 mana kill spell in white.
It does not have Fateful Absence
I think
and
probably just a case of wild card
not having it yet.
considerations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a card I would
Um
expect to not be there.
and I think we we have only as far as I can tell the only new uh not Shadows, gosh, it's not Shadows over Innistrad, as much as I wish it were. The
Yeah,
only new Midnight Hunt card that I can see in here is Renin 7.
probably some lands as well, at least.
Um, I haven't seen them, but
I
I wouldn't be surprised if they're in there.
Yeah, I would say that this is harkens back to a very greedy time of Bant reclamation, and all the card choices are very indicative of that. Greedy in this case, not really being a pejorative, but more just a descriptor for what the game plan for the deck is, where it's looking to use minimal resources to get through the early game, and then have everything be kind of a elbow drop sort of effect past turn 4.
Yeah. And I just checked. There are the only Midnight Hunt card in the deck is in fact Ren and 7, including lands.
Yeah, interesting choice in the Ketria Triome. Glacial Fortress would have allowed a Swords to Plowshares to be used in these first 2 turns, where they lead with Scattered Groves and then play the Glacial Fortress. In this case,
Yeah.
they're off white until turn 3, which isn't inherently bad.
And I don't think it's gonna matter too much here specifically, but yeah,
But
it does.
more what I was going to be pointing to is that they also had at least one double white card that they wanted to cast and sell the wreckage that
Yeah.
not getting a second white pip now means they need to find.
And
Uh,
that
so
Freylease
interesting
is gonna
thing.
find something.
We know what's in G-Ray's hand right now. We looked at this.
Yeah.
We looked at this list before,
Well,
and
actually,
Seek an Elf can find
we
one
know-
of 2 things.
Yeah.
It can find Sky Shroud Lookout, or it can find Vanifar. So there is either Vanifar or a way to find Vanifar in the hand currently. Luckily for EMG, they do have the swords here, so a Vanifar being played honestly is kind of good for them because they now
Yeah.
can
They now
deal with
don't
it
have the
permanently,
combo.
and the entire deck from G-Ray is kind of based around Vanifar. From here, they could also downtick for Vanifar, but the fact that they're not playing a 2... Well, we don't know they're playing anything yet. They
The
attack
fact that
first.
they didn't downtick Freylease again tells me that they found their Vanifar.
But the Uro is tempting enough to use the Swords of Plowshares on, which may actually be the to the detriment of EMG
Yeah.
here. Because this is currently their hand can't deal
Their
with Vanifar.
in fact,
They're off blue.
they cannot cast. They might be able to cast this Chemister's Insight if they play this
Yeah.
untapped, but that's
They can
it.
settle the wreckage, but settle the wreckage currently doesn't matter. The thing that I would say they wanted to do was guarantee a cleansing Nova, but now I kind of expect a uptick on Freylease and then play the Vanifar as a 4/6, because that's how this will
Yeah.
work.
This Freylease certainly
Oh,
is the kind of card that
okay.
gets
So
heads turning. And
only
there's
card in hand is
Golos.
Vanifar. Golos goes, gets World Tree. And what this does is really force the issue of clearing this board, because now Golos
Yeah.
activation is just going to be a lot of value. Depending on what the hand was, they would potentially be just playing the Vanifar out, but with Golos in hand, it's much harder to do. There's second blue. They have counter magic up now. Vanifar is going to be much harder to resolve. Honestly, Jerry might have lost their window to play
Yeah.
the Vanifar, but at the same time, they still would have lost it to the Cleansing Nova,
Yeah.
as we know things
And
happened.
That's the next question is, do we use pop out this Cleansing Nova now? I think the answer is yes.
I don't personally think I would be. This is a very interesting case because it's you saying that you can beat 3 free spells off the top of your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm confident enough to say that I could do that.
But in this case, probably can.
Well, that's still a lot of value. So you attack him with both. I would attack. Yeah, I would attack him with both because you're worried
Yeah.
about potentially settle the wreckage, and if it settle the wreckage, you're gonna blink the Golos anyway.
And if it's the seal away, and
Yeah,
I think the great thing here is that now G-Ray is going to have perfect information.
well, yeah. You see, the settle the wreckage was known.
Oh wait, no, yeah, the syncope is gonna.
Yeah, the settle the wreckage was known. I think
Yeah.
there was really no reason not to attack with the Golos because if they played the settle the wreckage, they couldn't syncopate They couldn't do
Yeah.
anything to interact with your Restoration Angel. There's nothing at 1 mana that can stop a creature from being played like that. Um, well, sorry,
They're making this
1
Vannifar
blue
very
mana.
big.
Yeah, they're making the Vannifar very big, but I don't think they're going to get a chance to play it.
And certainly not to attack with it.
Yeah, it was like, I guess theoretically, if their hand is Vannifar, 2-drop, and Tuk Tuk Rebel Fort,
Yeah.
because they do play Tuk Tuk Rebel Fort, but I the Vannifar I think is just a little too late. Removal has been found in spades,
Yeah.
and there's just
I
not
think
enough
I
to
think
go around
EMG
at
would
this
have
point.
preferred if that were an untapped land, so that they could Banishing Light with a Sabotage backup, but that is not.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's surprising. But
I think that's game losing.
yeah, that's
That is so Vannifar from a 2-drop can chain up to 7.
yeah, including to Homa, which is not
Um
super
but
able to be
in
dealt
this
with.
case, the Knight of Autumn comes in, kills the thing. Freyleys gets to untap the Vannifar, turn the Knight of Autumn into a 4. The 4, I don't know what the 4 is
It
anymore.
can't be. Yeah, it can't be Resto now.
I mean, it
Um,
couldn't. Resto is gone anyway. It's syncopated.
yeah.
But it could
Oh,
easily,
we
yeah,
have
breaching.
Hippocamp now.
Yep, it's Hippocamp. I forgot the Hippocamp. And then you turn this into the Necromancer at 5 and bring
Yep,
back the Hippocamp.
Hippocamp. And then you turn that into um actually there no
And then you
we
turn
we
the
have
Necromancer into Wispweaver Angel,
yeah.
blink the Hippocamp. And then you can turn the Wispweaver Angel into a 7, and then the 7,
I'm
um,
assuming here should be Coma.
it could be Coma. It could also, I believe they're playing Sarah's Emissary.
Uh Let me check.
Um,
Yes, they are. Sarah's Emissary
although,
on instant would protect from Settle. But they're just gonna
um,
choose
how much power
Regent.
does the what did Agent steal?
A land.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
I think
Sarah's Emissary
Agent
on
was not.
instant, I believe, makes Settle the Wreckage no longer a thing,
It does.
right?
That's correct. Because it also gives you protection from the chosen type.
Yeah.
Um,
But is Young Necromancer, is it a 2/3 or a 3/2?
it is, I believe, it's something.
Because there was a line, I believe, where you could have gotten a Tuk Tuk
It's
Rebel
a
for.
2/3. Uh, and we didn't get Big Lark in Historic Horizons. So
Yeah. Notably, though, by the way, the Ancient Treachery stole a white source when it was one of the only 2 white sources that cast to settle the wreckage that would have saved their opponent.
yeah,
So both of the lines did cut off settle, though I think the emissary might have cut off settle a little bit harder. Um, what the emissary line didn't cut off would be a wrath off the top. So
yeah,
it's honestly, I kind of like the Agent Treachery line. Both have their own merit, I would say.
yeah.
This hand is very interesting. I don't think I would mulligan it if I was in this position. I'd probably throw the Wolfwillow Haven back. Um, or just a land. That's fair.
Yeah.
Use Temple to try and smooth out your draw, and
And I think,
Disruption is going to be the play. These
yeah,
deserts honestly are kind of hurting because they're just being tapped lands here are they're very rarely going to come in good time.
Yeah, I think that the Caneland deserts are great, but
The
the
cycling deserts just
Taplands,
aren't worth it,
yeah,
especially considering the fact that we have the monocolored cyclers, and I think
yeah,
those are also awful, which means these are even worse, right? Just functionally.
mm-hmm,
Narset might be what they play. They could also just hold up disruption with an idea. They want to play this cultivate, but they can't. Um, 3 color mana bases and all. There might have been reason if they were really searching for colors to cycle the Desert of the True as your first thing you're doing in the turn and just not do anything
yeah,
else. Hope for a green source, tapped or not. Um, Narset finds, well, several things. Thirst for Meeting is the only thing they're going to be able to cast within 2 turns, so they have to take that. Chemist's Insight would have been better, but due to the fact that the desert comes in tapped and the disruption as a land comes in tapped, they have exhausted themselves of good timed plays, um, which means the the Chemist's Insight just was going to be too slow. Night of Autumn having some good use,
yeah,
clearing the artifact blocker that they have, and clearing the Narset from being able to downtick. There's honestly not a huge amount of reason to kill the Narset from here on out, but
yeah. There's
there's
not a
no
huge
reason
amount.
not to either.
The This combo deck doesn't have a huge amount of like good or useful card draw, but
And a
it's
lot of the card advantage that they have is in the form of getting creatures to hand directly as opposed to drawing them.
yeah. In the same vein though, it's kind of a free kill,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes
This
you have
tapped
that.
green source probably gonna slow their hand
Yeah.
down enough that this turn is big for G-Ray. If they can get something serious happening,
Oh,
it's gonna be a problem. Uh,
Hydroid
I
Krasis still gives that card draw.
It doesn't
Um,
matter actually. They can't counter it. Destiny Spinner's in play.
yeah,
Um, I would also note that there's a lot of late game in this deck, and we're seeing it. I'm not saying be entirely detrimental, but it's definitely hurting a bit. At the same time, though, Ugin can come next turn. Untapped green
yes,
source. Okay, that is a very conservative cultivate where you could have shocked in a green source and played Nissa and had Ugin mana in the following turn as well.
yeah,
Um, but they're going to be on 8 mana next turn, so 14 damage. It kind of needs to be found before the Ugin comes down, or keep something back so the Ugin doesn't immediately kill everything.
yeah.
Because going to 6 is significant,
Ooh, and
and
that Golos does not get hit by Ugin.
indeed it doesn't.
And I think that might be what seals this.
Well, it's not going to seal it per se, because it's only 3 damage and they're at 6. Um, I imagine Desert of the Mindful is going to be cycled, and they're really hoping for a Wrath of God effect to actually cleanly kill the board.
Yeah.
Prison Realm does answer the Golos, but Ugin needs to be played or else they're just dead to all the other creatures.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, EMG is very much technically not dead, but
yeah. X
it's
equals
not
3.
much better.
The Ugin isn't dead to the Golos attack, which actually is kind of bad for them because it means that they're going to take 3 here. And,
Yeah.
well, not exactly they're going to take 3. I can't immediately prescribe what G-Ray is going to do here. Um,
Although you would have been correct.
so here's the interesting thing. Timing wise, let's look at this. Uh, the Ugin can uptick and hit this
So
elk, this
yeah,
beast,
Ugin
sun
can
elk.
uptick to hit the elk, and then Nissa plus Prison Realm can uh take out Golos and put Vivian to 1.
I think that is possible.
And then I think depending on how you sequence things, you can still leave up Jwari Disruption.
Uh, depends on how it depends. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you
it,
absolutely
you
can.
you'd have to actively be against keeping blue mana
Yeah.
up to make that happen. But you know, I've seen weirder things.
Or okay, yeah, they are using Prison Realm here.
Um, so how does G-Ray get 3 damage through from here? Right. That's
Yeah.
the question. That's the $100 question.
Now there's a creature on the board. Uh there's a known tax on spells.
Yeah, they
Um
know about the disruption. I think like if Vivian still had the ability to minus, there was
yeah.
more potential where you could minus and play a thing and then find a different like two different hasters.
Yeah. Or you could find like a good creature and then off the trigger find like Rebel Fort. But
Mm-hmm.
that that possibility is getting slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah. Um, and I think short of a Bane Fire, there's not much that will finish off EMG here.
Yeah.
Which I mean, very possibly could be in the deck. I'm not one to prescribe that, but I just
Um
checked and there's not.
yeah, there's not a
Also,
Banefire.
notably though, G-Ray is a person. Well, you see, this would normally work if Sphinx's Revelation wasn't uh, around to gain a bunch of life.
Yeah, and a bunch of life it's gonna gain. X equals
But
10 is a big number.
I think G-Ray EMG might have been a little bit uh, put off because this is I personally would say you should do that in response to the lethal attack as
Yeah.
opposed to doing another end step and having to discard a bunch of cards. Also, notably, um, this this particular deck that they're up against does have Thassa's Oracle combo in it,
Yeah.
um, which is not.
Yeah, tapping out seems not like the best idea here.
Yeah, I would have
Um,
said you don't really want to not leave some mana up,
yeah. And
but
that's
G-Ray
gonna be game 2.
obviously doesn't have the combo. Their window was last turn, so uh, you know, the window was last turn, so it's going to be hard to it was going to be hard to bluff that they had anything like that.
Yeah.
This
And
hand is a little bit smoother when it comes to mana, but they can cast literally nothing in their hand. So
yeah.
EMG here is betting on a third land draw to
Yeah.
start doing things.
And they have I think 2 maybe 3 draws to get there if they cycle the Shark Typhoon for no value.
Yeah, and additionally, so many of their lands come in tapped that many of the situations that they'll be in, uh,
Are
even
putting him
even
on the
if they
back
do get a
foot.
third land, they're going to be waiting until turn 4 to play any of these 3 drops.
And they haven't drawn it one yet.
Yeah, the question really is can G-Ray here present a problem? And this is one inclusion I saw in this deck that I was not a huge fan of. Adventurous Impulse seems a little
Is
bit low power to me.
I guess my bigger question is,
But maybe it doesn't matter because this needs to happen, and we get to see if the greed pays off right here. Like, I'm happy with the players able to play Magic.
yeah,
I'm kind of sad to see this much greed
go unpunished.
go unpunished because I,
Although
I've been
they're
working on
nowhere
getting
near out
away
of the
from it.
woods yet.
No, they're out of the woods because Cultivate gives them 5 mana. They now have their mana for their 5 mana Planeswalkers. It's
Yeah.
G-Ray has done actual nothing in these last turns, and so no pressure to do anything other than just this setup means that you know what
Yeah.
really is punishing here is
And
the
snooze
fact
is
that
not enough to
uh, Nissa now comes down, and despite having effectively 5 free turns, Jir was not able to put themselves in the beatdown position.
yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest issue with 5 color combo is just there's a lot of games where you need to be putting on a big point of pressure pretty early, and uh, this really punishes you for not doing that. And I think that's where the deck
Notably,
shines the
though,
least.
this could turn it
Heartless Act is
around.
huge, yeah.
Specifically, oh no, specifically if they found a questing beast, they'd kill the Nissa.
Yeah.
I hope they're playing questing beast. I would be very sad if they're playing all these other cards and not questing beast.
Yeah, I'd be confused
Wait,
if
I'm
oh no. I
one
don't see
second. I
one.
need to use the search button because I don't believe this.
There is no questing beast.
You know, yeah, I.
We
Also, Nissa really
somehow
shouldn't be targeting the that particular land.
yeah,
Basic forest is the best choice of those. I understand,
especially when
although
we
technically
just
it's
seen
like,
punishment for
but at the same time though, it's also being used to untap a blue source so they can keep up Whirlwind Denial. I believe is the idea. Um, but what did they spend their blue mana on in the first place anyway?
um no idea. Well, that's a card that you probably want to denial here, especially
Yeah, and notably, using Mystical Dispute or Whirlwind Denial, there's both there, obviously, does actually mean Nissa's dead.
I think Nissa oh yeah, Nissa's dead because of the activation.
They didn't.
But they didn't do it, so Nissa stays alive.
I'm.
And according to chat, auto tapper for Renan 7 is what uh tapped blue.
Uh, Weird.
So
I
in
guess
that sense, it
because
was the required choice.
everything else was a forest.
Yeah, it likes to give you exact mana.
Um, yeah, I'm kind of confused why the Scavenging Ooze wasn't used.
Yeah,
They actually had 2 different Scavenging Ooze activations, which they could have used to pump up and kill either of the Planeswalkers that were killing them here. Um, and I guess that's just my humble opinion, but I think those needed to die while you still had a chance to attack them.
leaving Anissa alive is a pretty good way to not win a game of Magic.
And more specifically, it's just a case of losing uh, losing the ability to kill one of the 2
Yeah,
planeswalkers just to clear the problems that you're having, because you know what deck you're up against. Like I guess you know just declaring you no to this player is not most productive. But if I'm in this position, I know that I'm up against a deck that is grinning from ear to ear if we do nothing, if we let them just calmly make it to turn 5.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's what this entire game has been. You know, the the fact that there really wasn't any pressure coming in the on those first turns where they were stumbling on their mana. Um, you know, I can't say that they had the ability to do that, but
Yeah.
um, when your opponent, especially an opponent that's looking to cast 8 drops, has been playing tap lands for the first 3 turns, and you probably just want to play as many 2/2s for 2 as you can to just get them down and not
Yeah.
allow them to sit there and fiddle with their mana until they're ready to actually answer your stuff.
When when I see a bunch of tap lands from my opponent, no matter what I'm playing, I am saying this is a really good gift given to me, but I need to capitalize on it, and G-Ray just didn't.
Yeah, sad case, you know.
Yeah, and the truth about this matchup is that if you let them get to 5 mana without any pressure on them, the game doesn't necessarily instantly end, but it will end.
And often not in your favor.
Yeah.
We have a lot of high value plays at the high value oriented plays. I guess best way to describe it here. And specifically, if we see exactly correct tapping and mana, Sublime Epiphany will counter the Skolos and leave 1 white mana floating to cycle the Secluded Step, which is possible to do.
Yeah.
I wonder if auto tapper will actually do that, but it's
I think
definitely possible to do.
I don't know if it's going to leave up white, but it's
It will
definitely
leave
going to
1
tap
mana.
all of them.
It
Nope, it's
tapped.
going to leave up green.
Yep.
Because of course it does. That's auto tapper.
Yeah,
but it who
didn't
cares?
actually matter.
You have
Well,
2
here's the
Dream
thing.
Trawlers.
First of all, if the Sublime Epiphany returned the Gilded Goose, it was just like guaranteed lethal on board right there. Which, you know, that's very nitpicky, honestly, because it's still 2 Dream Trawlers in play plus everything else going right.
Yeah, it's 2 Dream Trawlers and a Nissa on board. Like, at that point, what can you do?
I mean, what you can do is answer the Nissa the turn you could.
Yeah, you take your opportunities when you get them, and
not that it would have been much better. Like, the Nissa definitely helped absolutely overwhelm that game, but a lot of the cards that were being drawn were part of the late game. Once I've ramped, I now can use these cards sort of suite of this deck, and I would have been surprised to see at least seeing a fight, not see a fight from Bant without the bit.
Yeah, Nissa. Yeah, I don't think Nissa necessarily was the deciding factor of that game, but if G-Ray had a chance, then it was going to be because Nissa died and they were able to capitalize on the lost mana advantage by playing out big threats. And
yeah, you just didn't that again. I'm harking back to that one play, but the attack was with a 4 out of 5 loyalty Nissa, where you could have pumped the scavenging use by at least 1, if not 2, if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Left the Nissa around, and you know, the other part of that game that really lost was the fact that while their opponent was doing nothing for the first 5 turns of the game, G-Ray was also not developing threats on the board, which meant even though it was a very slow start from the Bant deck, they were still allowed to develop their mana and develop their ramp without having any sort of pressure coming down on them, which meant they didn't need to use or care about changing their strategy other than ramp to the 2/5 drop planeswalkers that they kept with that 2 land hand that they did.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that after that, Nissa started the 2 planeswalkers being there on that board meant that after that missed extra point of damage, it was put into it was an increase of 2 additional blockers on the next turn that
Yeah,
you
one
know
from Ren and Seven, one from Nissa,
from
and then
Nissa.
Nissa was just making 3/3s every turn afterwards,
Yeah.
while also increasing the mana so that there was development and also protection. I honestly though, like we're saying though, even without the Nissa, the hand that they were up against was definitely how to say this, a hard fight to win.
Yeah, definitely a lot of big big powerful plays at the end. Dream Trawler kind of uh Dream Trawler is a real drug, even if you're drawing it a little bit later or not as
Yeah, like
able to have more mana.
the difference would have been they wouldn't be able to play Dream Trawler and also have Sublime Epiphany backup. They would only have had Whirlwind Denial backup,
Yeah.
which, what an only to say.
Yeah. And with that we only have a couple of games left in the round.
Maybe
So
just one,
yeah,
but
maybe just one, but
low amount.
I think we're gonna go to a break here, and we will see you soon
Yep,
for
round
round
three
3.
coming up shortly. And we are back.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. So, uh, round three? Three.
We're going into round 3 here.
Also, I'm constantly
And
sliding this way. I don't know why. Um, is coming soon. We have some interesting matchups starting to emerge, although I haven't checked them, so I might be lying. No, I'm not. Uh,
so
table 3. Yep, I see it. Thank you for a second, Seismic. What? That was weird. Go.
you good?
I'm fine.
Okay. So Midnight Hunt has done a lot, has added a lot of really interesting and cool cards into the format and into this tournament. One of those interesting decks that have kind of come up a bit more is now we are seeing this week from Cat Muzi an Is It Tokens deck, or also like an Is It Pyromancer.
Yeah, but it's looking, I believe, to use Puppet Stitcher as a method of buffing these creatures.
Yeah,
I
I
believe I think
believe
that's the
so.
card.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is including Poppet Stitcher and Smoldering Egg uh, as like the 2 big Pyromancer effects in this
Well, in
deck.
addition to the Pyromancer, I
Yeah,
believe.
in addition to the literal OG Pyromancer. And there's also some spicy things here from previous sets, like Demi-Lich, the
Mm-hmm.
quad blue skeleton wizard
Yeah.
that I haven't seen it cast for 0 in a game I've participated in, like whether commentating or playing, but I want to. And
Well, it's just is it tokens? I'm not sure what.
yeah,
It's not that it's called is it tokens in Melee, and
yeah,
it's in. It is
it
tokens.
is,
It's
yeah.
quite literally a tokens deck, and I think it's very well named.
Uh, some other hits we have from Historic Horizons are Faithless Salvaging, the Rebound Looting, and that was bugged yesterday,
Yes, it's a good thing that it wasn't. It's not bugged anymore.
and then was
Um,
fixed within like minutes of
you
it
see,
being brought up on the Discord.
the it wasn't even the Discord bringing up fixed it. It was that it was a issue big enough that they could not reasonably put it off until later.
Yeah, it had to be an
Like
instant
there are
hot
some
fix.
bugs we
Yeah,
find, like for instance, the Vizier of the Menagerie bug, where it's like, okay, this does allow people to technically cheat at Magic, but it uses cards that no one is playing outside of our format in
yeah.
most cases.
Um,
Rebound is not the same in that regard.
because the two cards we have with Rebound are really good,
Hmm.
and
And I believe it was Rebound could cast any creature that you had in exile instead
yeah,
of
could
your.
could definitely cast any exiled creature. It might have been any exiled spell. I don't think it was that though.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Um,
But at the very least, it was fairly abusable.
yeah.
Let's say
The
I can't exactly tell you how abusable it would be, but like just initially thinking about it, right? How can you
yeah,
get a creature into exile fast and then cast an ephemerate?
yeah. There's a few ways to do it. The other card I want to talk about a little bit is Memory Deluge, and hopefully we're going to see that in this round between Catmuzi and uh
Pythian,
Kithian.
appropriately with a Kithian, oh, a Gideon. He is
Gideon Avatar.
he has shrugged off the Kithian name
Yeah,
a little while ago. Um, so Unholy Heat, Kithian is on mono white, I believe.
yeah. And
Yes,
Unholy Heat can deal with this aspirant pretty much instantly.
there was
Um,
an argument to using the Unholy Heat before they untapped, just so that you're not putting yourself in a position where a protection spell goozles you.
yeah. We see here in Catmuzi's hand two brand spanking new red spells, both of which being
One
very
one is egg.
yeah, one is the egg we talked about previously. The other is Moonveil Regent, which in this deck makes pretty much everything you do a cantrip.
Yeah. Fable Passage, I'm gonna imagine, gets a blue source here because of
Yeah, you want
Demi-Lich.
well, Demi-Lich and well, I guess you can already cast this counter spell.
Yeah, and I am aware of the feeling that there is going to be a little bit of difficulty when it comes to can clear and consistent uh, uh, picture coming through. This particular video is being sent several places around the world.
Yeah.
You'll have to bear with the stuttering.
Catmuzi
Um,
is Catmuzi's far away from a lot of the other players in this format and in this tournament.
well, just Cat Moosey doesn't care about time zones.
Oh yeah.
They just they show up to events whenever they happen, no matter what time it is in their hometown. Declaration in Stone coming down, clearing that off. That's painful. The board is starting to become a problem. Is there an
Yeah.
Anger of the Gods to answer it? And
Not that we can see.
I don't see.
I don't think there's one in the deck, and I can understand why there wouldn't be. There is not.
That's fair. We'll be switching up the video for just a quick second. Maybe it will fix it. Maybe it will be the same. And if so, then,
That's how it be.
that is
And
indeed how it do.
And how it do is going into game 2 with Kithian
Unbreakable Formation.
taking an extremely aggressive start, and I
the 4 different printings of Colossal Dreadmaw on the sideboard. I'm technically
Effie, we need to call
that's
the police.
not allowed. But the sideboard for Tatmuzi's deck.
Colossal Dreadmaw on the sideboard
are 4 unique copies of Colossal Dreadmaw. Yes, not just 4 copies, 4 unique copies, because there were 4 different printings on Arena. I would say
love to see the jokes.
Just a general PSA to players in this. I sometimes find myself in with a problem of accidentally leaving in things that are like thoughts or ideas in the sideboard. We would, most of the tournament organizers have explained that they would rather not have to deal with any of the potential arguments there. It's not worth it. It's also technically not allowed. Not technically, literally not allowed. But a case of the sideboard that we just saw is a little different than otherwise, but still not allowed.
So Soulseer here works really well against specifically Hallowblade.
Yeah,
going back to the actual game.
Indestructible.
Yeah,
yes.
Since it strips off that indestructibility and is one of the only, if not the only, damage spell that can get around that in Tatmuzi's deck, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And there we see this Demi-Lich, and the mana's good to cast it.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't cast it, honestly. It would have allowed them to flashback that Soulseer next turn. I'm pretty sure. I don't actually know what Demi-Lich does.
Demi-Lich has some text, and I just saw quad blue and said, that's funny.
Also, Ironcrag Pyromancer combined with Fiery Temper does kill.
Yes.
This 6/6.
Oh, and...
But, no, I think you're still going to use Fiery Temper. In my eyes, you're still going to use Fiery Temper to kill the 6/6, and then you're Prismari Command away the Maul of Skyclaves. Partially because you can't Prismari Command the Stonecoil Serpent because it has protection from multicolored.
But what you can do is you can Prismari Command to get rid of the Maul and draw 2 and discard 2. And then the Fiery Temper and the Pyromancer together take out the Stonecoil.
You see,
but you can do that anyway.
Yeah, like you could, that play was an option available to them in if they bolted in that the Shatter Skull Smashing. I don't remember the name of the land side of that spell.
Shatter Skull, like the something pass or something.
Yeah. What I expect to see though is Prismari Command making a treasure token here. Oh well, I mean Prismari Command can make a treasure token here to allow them to cast a Demi-Lich, but also anticipate what will make the Demi-Lich an option, as well as just hard casting the Demi-Lich anyway. All of those are possible to be done.
Shatter Skull, the Hammer Pass.
Today I learned.
Yeah. And that's Resplendent Angel. We've been seeing a lot of that recently.
Yeah, I've just been behind. I would say, that's... So, Prismari Command...
Prismari Command does not do as many cool things now.
Well, protection
backup.
Destroy target artifact, create a...
So...
Discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. Okay. And
Yeah,
like you can throw Demi-Lich into the graveyard. You can cast it from the graveyard the same way you can cast it from your hand.
yeah.
Um, I'm kind of surprised we didn't see kill the Alseed as
Yeah,
opposed
although
to the draw, because the Alseed seemed, at least to me, seems like it's
uh
going to be a problem.
don't we have a Pyromancer trigger as well?
Oh, you're right. I'm bad at Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
You and Cat Muzi, you know,
Pyromancer forces the Alseid to activate here.
yeah, and then the fact that Anticipate unfortunately isn't actual card draw is a problem.
Yeah.
Land Resplendent Angel activation would do quite a few things here, but that is not what's happened.
Instead we're
Uh,
just getting a 4/4 angel, which is still not
does
bad.
Yeah, the fact that it's four toughness means that Pyromancer doesn't instantly kill it anymore. Conspiracy theorists would have triggered it, and still is going to. I imagine going to hit this Griffin instead. Really throwing the Anticipate away for the okay. Um, Drew play
So
with fire,
here,
which means the Splendid Angel can die.
yeah,
Do they want that to happen?
I think so because if you
Also,
don't
I
kill it
forgot how
now, they have the
conspiracy
chance
theorist works.
to
By the way,
flip it. Yeah.
you get to do this.
Yeah, you get to cast it.
Yeah. And now we're going to anticipate looking for
Well, that's some hits.
that's some options. Yeah. Luckily, like even losing conspiracy theorists to this play, which honestly is fine. Uh, the the board that Catmuzi is presenting is fairly dominant. Ironclad Pyromancer is a huge problem against this mono white deck because, well, most of their creatures don't go past 3 toughness.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's either because they're expensive or with great effort. So, yeah, now Demi-Lich is coming back. We're going to probably remove. Really?
It's
A lot of the
I
removal was taken out there, and I think, at least
yeah.
personally, that's what I would have kept.
Although I think one of the things they really want to keep here is this uh Prismari command,
Yeah, Prismari
which acts
command
as a
kills the thing, and then also kills the Adorn Pouncer.
yeah,
Thing to remember also, by the way, is that Adorn Pouncer is only 5 mana to
to
Eternalize.
internalize. Yeah, and that'll
Demi-Lich
be an annoying
dies.
thing when it comes back.
Yeah, if it needs to come back, because Demi-Lich has just died. Um, blockers for blockers here are in no short supply, though.
Ox is a draw 3 that is gonna also happen to kill a creature.
Yeah, this is a case where I would uh, say the difficulty lies on this mono white opponent to break through this just absolute wall of tokens that they're facing,
Yeah, and
and
we've
that
already seen the
miss
Deck and Stone,
kind of
right?
does it. I believe Deck and Stone was used. Yes.
Yeah, and if so, that means that we can't really rely on.
I mean, Deck and Stone doesn't even really help, honestly. They kind of need to be playing a spicy
Yeah,
Settle the Wreckage in my eyes.
yeah, and Kithian sees the writing on the wall, um, and scoops it up for game 2 or game 3. Yeah,
Well, this is about as good a hand as you can hope for. You have
yeah.
turn one drop interaction spell, and then if you don't need to kill another thing, you can play Search for Escanta,
I
which
think
I
the only
kind
thing,
of. What does this do?
it's a
Oh, you
two
get a
drop that finds a plains and then can't
is day
transform
bound.
yet. Well, no, it's not day and night. It's you can
Oh.
transform it for 3 mana if you have Coven.
Oh, okay. Right. They did some interesting things with transform cards in this set.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I do think
there's
that
a
there's
lot of different
too
ones.
many really disparate transforms.
Yeah. I think that if the daybound mechanic wasn't added, like in the situation that just happened, right? I was like, oh, it's a transform card. It's gonna become day. It didn't
Yeah.
become day.
I
Okay,
think that
lightning strike for aspirant. Maybe you no, you don't wait.
well, now now you definitely don't wait because you use shock, but
Yeah, you're brainstorming, probably putting the murmuring mystic back,
uh,
and
yeah, Murmuring
uh,
Mystic and something else you're not going to be casting in the next turn anyway.
yeah. I would note that some people are would say that this is a quote brainstorm lock, but in this case, it.
Manatide! Yes!
I mean,
Oh!
at the same time, there is a backup removal spell. And it's a good thing
Oh,
that they drew that shock, because Lightning Strike would have been much more problematic.
that's oh, Manatide. My favorite 1 mana white spell. Uh
Um, yeah, and
and
specifically the Sorcerer's Scan will allow Cat Musi to clear a bit of their top deck around anyway.
yeah.
Um, this is a very aggressive uh, situation, though.
Yeah, this
Um,
situation is making me really think
and
there might want to be a like Anger of the Gods in this deck or a Sweltering Suns. Um
in some
but
way, in somehow, I would say I would want one of those cards.
yeah.
Anger Gods is a possibility. Sweltering Suns is a possibility. I think there's a few others that one could play if they don't like the idea of playing a Wrath in their deck that cares about creatures. But
Yeah.
the new one, the new 5 mana one, honestly, kind of good.
Yeah.
What is it? 4/1/1/1s or 3/1/1s or something like that.
Yeah, 3/1/1 Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that was some good fun magic that was really tight and showed the power of both blue red control spells and
Having lands.
yeah, having lands and just how important an early aggressive start is when your opponent is, playing tap lands, brainstorming to set up their future plays. The mono white deck thrives when it can really capitalize on beating down the opponent while people are setting up.
Indeed. It's just, a case of like honestly though, had that shock found its mark,
Yeah.
uh it would
It
have
would
been a
be a
little bit
completely
easier.
different game.
Wouldn't have been that much different game because the follow-up threat that the mono white deck provided was a four. I don't even know what that card was. What is that
It's
4x doing? Is that
Adelaide.
the
Adelaide is
where's it from?
it's from Midnight Hunt.
Oh, okay. I shows how much I know.
It's one of the yeah, Adeline Resplendent Cathar. Uh and it's a surprisingly good card. It's like Barimaz, except it's usually attacking first as a 2/4 instead of a 3/4 and doesn't do cool stuff when it blocks.
Yeah, no, that's just a really good card.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it
I'm. You know what makes me sad about this card though?
do tell.
It's a knight.
It's not a warrior,
It's
correct?
not a warrior. Let me actually do my. I haven't done that check yet. Let's do it on stream. Well,
Innistrad's always a bad set
Scryfall.
for weird tribal because it uses soldiers and knights instead of warriors generally. It
In
doesn't
the
have like
set.
elves.
Wait. Oh,
There actually we do get Falconreth Pit Fighter as a red 1 mana warrior,
I'm.
which is
What warriors? Okay,
it's the
so
1 mana 2/1 that you can pay to discard a card and sacrifice a vampire to draw 2 cards if an opponent lost life.
well, actually, we got some interesting warriors. Slaughter Specialist,
Yeah,
the
that
new best black creature from this set,
Slaughter
um,
Specialist makes me want to
is a
build like
warrior.
Mardu warriors.
You can't. I can't lose Winota in this deck.
Well, Mardu, so red, white, black.
Mm, green's kind of important.
The big thing is that you lose out on like the good green warriors and fixing, but I think that at least by the time that we get as far back as like Khan's block in any capacity,
Then Mardu is 100% a thing.
yeah,
I know. I agree with you. Yeah, Pit Fighter is present just as a 2 mana 2/1 with weird abilities. Harvest Sentry. Harvest Sentry is another warrior. It's a
it
2 mana 3/1 with
it
an
sure
ability.
is.
And then actually Voldaren Stinger, the other 1 mana warrior for red, has benefit just being a first strike as long as it's attacking
Yeah,
sort of
it
creature.
has text on it that has been relevant in
Yeah,
games
it's
of
not the
Magic.
best warrior, but we got two decent warriors from the set. It's just, I was expecting warriors to come from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms because you know, uh, the fighters would
You
be warriors, right?
you fool, you forgot that they would
Uh
spend all of their fighting boys on barbarians,
Paladins and
berserkers,
barbarians.
and knights.
Yeah, they like it wasn't even like we got fighters that weren't warriors. We just didn't get any like
Yeah,
actual
there
fighter
were no
representation in
fighters. It
adventures.
was just rangers, barbarians, knights.
Tieflings, warlocks.
Tieflings don't count in that respect because they're
They
not
do.
a class, but yeah,
But you see,
warlocks,
they could have been demons or devils. Devils? Devils.
um yeah, I wanted them to be Azra, but that's just me.
I mean, that would be that would have been too convenient.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
Could you imagine Battle Bond on Arena as
having
intended?
tieflings?
No,
Oh,
no,
oh my.
as intended.
Two-headed giant on arena would be kind of
It would be impossible,
in the best way.
but also it would give us so many good warriors.
It would. Um but UFO, are you saying that Jaded Sellsword is not uh, a high quality warrior for the Warriors deck?
I'm sorry, but no.
That
Literally, there's exactly one warrior in Adventures in Forgotten Realms that isn't common, and it's a uncommon
and
that
it's
cares about equipment.
the equipment. I don't know, Goblin Javelineer isn't terrible.
It's not bad. It's another fine red warrior 1 drop,
Yeah.
but um, it's not great.
Yeah. Um but yeah, we have just had two back-to-back sets that are kind of mean to the warrior subtype. Um
Yeah.
and let's see, do we have anything on the docket to be talking about?
Well, I've seen a lot of people playing Bant Blink recently. like a lot of people playing Bant Blink.
We have gotten a lot of really cool tools for that in Historic Horizons. Um, and have we seen any of that in the tournament today?
I don't even know if there's anyone registered with that.
We've seen. It's also tough
I,
because we don't have Blink as an archetype.
yeah, just
Um,
yes, there's at least, well, is this Blink? I guess it is. Yeah, it
like
is. There's at least one Bant Blink deck in here. Joker Boney is. If I said Joker Boney's deck was Bant Blink,
I don't know if I'd agree with you, but I'd understand where you're coming from.
well, I just like to stay friends with Joker.
Yeah.
Um, and
Um,
there's nothing if not the constant fact that Magic players are aggressive advocates for the names of their own decks once especially once they start classifying them.
yeah. Let's see. Do we have I'm trying to look through this
One
Niv
Bant
Mizzet
Blink.
deck to see if there's a blink effect in here.
That's probably an ephemerate.
Um, would you believe it if I told you there is not?
I would because I just saw.
Yeah.
I think one
There are
thing that
zero blink effects in
people
this five color
playing
Niv Mizzet deck.
Niv Mizzet Reborn decks kind of fall into the trap of is um, not playing cards that that aren't two colors.
Yeah. Uh,
This
turns
deck has a
out,
few, but Niv Mizzet isn't doesn't need to draw 5 cards average.
yeah, it needs to draw 2 cards average.
Yes, because it's still a
And
5 mana 6/6 flying trample.
yeah, no,
I
not
don't know if
trample.
that's trample.
No trample.
Flying.
Um,
Yeah.
you give it trample because you play the 4 mana Aurelia.
Yeah. I would though say mono white aggro should be checking Containment Priest right now.
I agree. Like, especially because there's just
There's people doing Vanifar things, there's Bant Blink, there's
I guess Vanifar combo is pretty much a blink deck.
yep,
Um,
in a different
there's
way. I mean,
there's
well,
Paradorks is kind of a blink deck, and operates with some amount of stuff that gets hit by Containment Priest.
mhm. And then like there's also the other aspect of shutting down Blink, which is Lips and Tocatli Honor Guard.
Yeah. And so yeah, I do think that Containment Priest, if there's ever a time to be playing it, it's right now. Um,
Yes, 100%.
and yeah, it's a card I don't like seeing because I'm usually the person who's
Being
getting
gotten by
got
it.
by it.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I only do weird meme decks where I'm looping creatures with modular off of a goblin engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much just me.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, it doesn't hit escape, and that like if it hit Uro, it would be a little bit
Oh,
probably
if
a
it
bit
hit Uro, it
more
would be everywhere.
not even correctly, but it would be everywhere.
Yeah.
People don't like that card. We're talking about Containment Priest. In case
Like
we want to put that up on screen. Yeah, and aren't there like Restoration Angel came in, and that's another one that would do it. It is there anything that allows you to blink your opponent's things? I mean, there's plenty, I'm sure.
Actually, we've gotten a few recently, but like
But you wouldn't
none
play
of
them
them.
together anyway.
Yeah,
Like, none of
we
them are incidental like that. There's no, like, flicker wisp things.
yeah. But we have gotten like just a lot of really good blink effects, and especially in like uh aggro and mid range right now, a lot of decks are just running Ephemerate because it's a good protection spell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ephemera is a good protection spell. And if you have
Like,
any sort of value to use, um, it's definitely going to be useful there. Yeah, luckily Restoration Angel is a May, so it's not going to like instantly goozle you if you play it with a Containment Priest out.
yeah.
Um, but and then there's also the argument about Bant Blink in should you run the new Conjurer's Closet and those
Um,
types of effects.
oh yeah, teleportation circle is I think decks have started to recently come off of the Theros Beyond Death Thassa.
Yeah,
Um
Thassa, the 4 mana
and
one. I
yeah,
don't remember the name.
and
Um,
Thassa Deep Dwelling,
the Deep Dweller. Yeah,
which is better than teleportation circle.
yeah. I think there's two arguments here. The first one is you're playing cards that generate value by coming into play, replaying those battle cry, those enter the battlefield effects would be useful. Uh, Someone's coming in, seismic.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay, I they're behind you. Um, and the thing that I've found to be difficult with these types of effects is that you have to already have a board that wants things being blinked for them to make an impact, which often in my experience means that they win a game that you're already ahead on and don't stop you from losing a game in any sense in many cases.
Yeah, and Thassa doesn't help with that most of the time.
Most of the time because it's as expensive as it is, and you're going to be tapping other things. Like the tap ability can help. It can help, but
Yeah,
it's expensive. Um,
and teleportation circle does a lot less and generally worse. Being
yeah,
able to hit like artifacts is neat, but like not enough.
what
Um,
artifacts would you hit that aren't creatures?
yeah, like so it's yeah, it's kind of sad that these kind of cards are not really we're not in the same format that we were when Thassa originally came out. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of means that cards like her don't see the play that they might want to see in in more mid-range and um fun dumb magic that
Yeah.
we have usually had.
Now, at the same time, there are those who are very staunch defenders of Thassa and Teleportation Circle, because we do actually have a third effect that's very similar, which is Soul Hoarder, when it is a creature, right?
And
So
that one's much better because
yeah,
it also gets
it
big.
is a creature. It blinks other things, and like the worst case scenario is a 3 mana 3 mana 1/1, which is
Yeah.
bad. Speaking of Soul Hoarder, do I have it around? I do.
Yeah, and almost all of the time it's going to be a 3 mana
I like
2/2.
Soul Herder, you might notice. Where there, hey, I got it.
We enjoy Soul Herder in this household.
Indeed, we do. Um, but Soul Hoarder, being a creature, is more vulnerable to ways to interact with the rest of your board. But if your board is being interacted with in that way, teleportation circle kind of has the same sort of deal. And then
Yeah.
Thassa has the additional ability of just being a creature once your board is like really big. It's gonna come a little later in the game because most of these decks are 3-color and have less blue pips than say a 2-color version. But Thassa being like a 6/5 indestructible blocker or attacker is not bad, and the tap down ability, like Thassa can break a board stall fairly easily, and that's why I'm not against that card. But
Yeah.
a teleportation circle being 1/3 of Thassa without indestructible does kind of make me not so interested in playing it.
Yeah. Teleportation circle has one of the lines of text that Thassa has and
Most
misses out
commonly.
on 3 of the really important lines of text.
Hmm.
The one card that I wanted to talk about that we almost talked about and then went to a match was Memory Deluge.
Yes.
This card's dumb. So good.
It's
Um,
there was talk about if it is currently the best 4-mana instant draw spell in Magic.
yeah, as opposed to the best one in Gladiator, which I don't
Which is
think
already
is a
true.
question. Yeah.
Yes. Because the other one that's competing for this slot is a card known as Fact or Fiction.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty good.
Oh, indeed it is. But
It doesn't draw
fact
you 4 cards though,
uh, Memory Deluge doesn't either.
but sure it does.
You no. Here's the way I look at Memory Deluge. For 4 mana, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, choose 2 of them, and those go in your hand. You also additionally draw a card that is 7 mana. Do the thing, which I would say is equivalent to 2.5 cards drawn, and Fact or Fiction is a little less than 2.5 cards drawn on average.
Yeah.
Because it's you reveal the top 5 cards of your library, and the opponent needs to figure out which pile to give, so you only get 2 of the cards. It's it's a much more interesting interaction, I think, Fact or Fiction, but it's also
Yeah.
a design piece that I don't think they're going to can return back to in a while, because Fact or Fiction putting the decision making onus on your opponent. Uh, why are we seeing this?
We're seeing a very fun search result.
Of 27 cards that include fact or include fiction. Can't you click on it? Wow, okay. In
I think quotes fact or fiction would work, but also it's less funny. Um, but yeah, Memory Deluge especially works
Oh,
well in
I know why that
Gladiator.
happened. Okay. I realized that it was okay. No.
Yes, that's the joke.
Okay.
Um,
Listen, listen, listen. I'm I didn't understand for at least long enough that everyone else got it before me. Give me some slack. I'm feeling embarrassed.
Hi, feeling embarrassed. I'm Seismic Lawns, and Memory Deluge is a a real good card. It
Yes.
it works really well for control, especially in the fact that it is an instant
Yep.
twice.
Yes. And
Like,
we had a card that did similar things in Drawn from Dreams for a little while. Notably, it was a sorcery. And
yeah.
I think I probably
And
was
it
the
was still
person who
good
played
when it
Drawn from
came out.
Dreams the most of any person in this format, because I played it in all the versions of Omniscience for a while because it was the best draw spell we had. especially for digging. And I didn't
Yeah.
care about casting it at sorcery speed because the deck didn't interact with my opponent anyway. Um, Even then, it was too slow.
Yeah.
Like the inability to have interaction up even the small amount that you would and make your decisions based on what your opponent played the turn before you. Like you have to predict what your opponent's doing and get the things to answer the board that you think is going to happen next turn, right? The ability to make your draw spell, especially your choice based draw spell, happen on your opponent's end step as you untap to use the mana that you're to cast whatever answer you're finding is pretty important.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, it's such a better card than pretty much everything we have seen right now. And with that in mind, we're going to take a
Take a
quick
second.
break. Yeah, because there's only a couple of matches remaining, and we'll be back soon with round 4 of the event.
Hello, and oh, hello, friend. I
Hello,
believe we
and
brought well, someone with us.
um,
There,
it's a variety of potential actors.
yes, many people have a feeling that this is modeled on someone.
Um,
Uh,
it's modeled on every successful white actor in the past 11 years.
well, every successful white actor that has a face.
Are you implying that some don't?
Possibly, or voice actors.
Okay, I was anyway, so we're
Uh,
we're getting
how you doing,
close
Seismic?
to the fourth round. Fourth round? Yes. Time
So,
is
question for you.
answer probably.
Uh, what does hostile do?
Not enough.
Not enough,
Yeah. It
man. The
so we we don't have the land from Shadows over Innistrad in this set in arena right now.
Ormondal, the,
The
that turns into Ormondal of Propane Prince.
Yeah, oh, Westvale Abbey.
Westville
Um
Abbey, yeah, it is. That
we
is.
we don't have that, and even if we did, um it would be like sometimes played in the occasional deck but not that often. Um
I mean, I think the fact that Westville Abbey makes tokens.
yeah, Hostile has the downside of not making tokens compared to it, still requiring 3 turns of setup, and then when
The
you
real
do flip
killer,
it,
the real thing that
it's
kills us, honestly, is sorcery speed.
yeah, it's sorcery speed, so you can't do anything in response. And your reward for it is a
Not
three
that big.
seven.
Yeah. Whereas Ormondal is a 9/7
Uh,
flying indestructible haste
yeah, and your protection for this 3/7 that you spent 3 creatures on 3 turns
and a land.
and effectively 6 mana on.
Hmm.
Yeah, and sacrificing a land effectively. The protection you get on it is a 4 mana ability to make it phase out.
Yeah. More I think about it, the less I like it, and more I just want Westville Abbey to come onto Arena.
Yeah, like
We've
it's
been talking about Shadows of Innistrad, but honestly, I just kind of miss Shadows of Innistrad. I
I
really
do
like that
too.
set.
I Shadows block um so after Battle for Zendikar, shenanigans, and yeah, after Battle for Zendikar shenanigans and the fact that um coming into that standard, everything was like just a pile of colors. Most decks were, 3 to 5 colors and could
Mm-hmm.
just get away with it constantly.
Yep.
Um, Coming into Shadows was so refreshing. It had good cards that were good just because they were fun and playable and not because, you know, they worked well when you played 5 colors. And I miss it. And
I
we're
do
going
kind of want
into
Sylvan Advocate from the dreaded
yeah, from
uh
from Oath of the Gatewatch.
Oath
Hot
block.
take, Oath of the Gatewatch was fine. It was just Battle for Zendikar that was not
I think
great.
all of the Zendikar blocks are honestly fine. It's just
Yeah.
they
Anyway,
the way that the sets were coming out as three connected blocks made complexity have to be
things
very high to fulfill a draft requirement that honestly really shouldn't have been in place in the first place.
yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
we're here
we're
with Grixis combo against mono red aggro. Is Grixis
this is
combo
this is not
just
Grixis.
oh uh
I'm pretty sure there's no.
no, this is Grixis. I think
Oh,
it was
okay. It's been
incorrectly
upgraded.
labeled. It's
Okay, I was thinking that this was the Demir version of this deck that we saw a little while ago, but it is actually going into the red
yeah.
aspect of it.
Yeah, this is but this is the Grixis version of blue black Thassa Oracle combo.
Which here's an interesting thing. At this point, right? If Fast Oracle is in Barthling's hand here, and they have the ability to cast it, that would have been a win. But Tainted Pact right now was just being used as a find
Lay of the land.
my yeah, as a lay of the
Yeah.
land. Or actually, more specifically, basically being used as a what's
Sylvan
the
Scry?
no, the one that came out just last
Oh,
the
Abundant Harvest?
abundant, yes, there you go, you got it.
Yeah.
Abundant Harvest. Um, Also,
Which
I Dire Fleet Daredevil is tempting, but I would not have kept it back.
yeah. Um
I don't think that
I
you are in a position where you're allowed to wait on that card.
I also do want to bring up that that's kind of my favorite part about Thassa Oracle is that
And
um
now Mystic's Mastery means Kolgan's
ooh,
Command. They're really punished for holding on to the Dire Fleet Daredevil for basically no
yeah.
reason, in my opinion. Um,
Um And this Tainted Pact, while being a combo piece, is also just a good way to find a land or
yeah,
a spell that does something.
Vortex is a problem, and
Yeah,
uh, removal is
even
needed right here for the Phoenix of Ash, because otherwise Phoenix will be able to activate and kill. Also, 3
yeah,
damage plus Vortex trigger is 4 as well, so
yeah. And I
Barfling
think
is
it
in a
might be
position
a
to
case of
need an answer here. And if they have a way to kill Phoenix, they kind of do want to wait until Phoenix
yeah,
activation, if that's going to happen. Um, which they could potentially pull out by killing the 10 Street Dodger first. Um, but instead, they're going to leave it like that. Uh,
yeah,
they're in a big time crunch. Rolling Vortex is just going to keep heading down.
yeah. They are going to 2 here, and
Yeah, even
even
if they
if
keep
they
the board
can,
clear.
yeah, even keeping the board clear isn't enough. They have to get rid of this vortex, and they have to do that pretty quickly. That's the great thing about Vortex. Although it's not seen too often, it really packs a punch uh, in control and like combo matchups where your opponent's just kind of trying to let things simmer for a bit.
Also,
Um,
we didn't actually see we didn't note it when it happened, but the Mythic's Mastery recasting the Colton's command, it did, I believe,
yeah, that does
dome them
deal
for
5.
5.
That does deal 5 damage.
which was the correct play still, but it did dome them for 5.
Yeah.
Castle Embereth Ramonac Ruins, you hate to see that combo because you can't do your normal development, but you don't drop this hand. This hand's fine.
Yeah,
Foundry
this
Street
hand's...
probably still leading on Foundry Street Denizen, though there's an argument for playing.
Oh,
Okay.
with the mountain, you're
There,
completely fine.
you know, now you're everything is solved. Foundry Street
Ignore
Denizen,
everything we've said. This hand was perfect and had no problems.
yeah, but I will have issue if they don't play this Direfleet Daredevil here, and they did. I don't know what possessed them to not last game. Probably looking at that Tainted Pact and being somewhat
Yeah,
interested
seeing
in
a
trying to
tainted
make that
pact
work.
and trying to froth at the mouth, but you have enough mountains in
Now,
this deck that
is I think, yeah, I think you want to play Legion War Boss because interaction like this is still
yeah,
it's actually only minus 1 damage here
yeah. Warboss is
um,
actually
compared
really
to
good
Bolt
to
Hound.
see. Yeah, and then also Warboss is a really good setup for Bolt Hound.
Yes, very much so. Now Sweeper, there's a Sweeper, and Bolt Hound would have been better because War Boss is kind of a threat in
Yeah,
its own right. Dragonkin Berserker comes in. Spikefield Hazard as a land? No, they prefer to
decides
have the
not
spell.
to.
Um, I
I don't
think
think
I
this
would
deck
like
has.
to have the ability to Bolt Hound plus one of these other 1-cost spells
Yeah,
next turn guaranteed,
and
or a
yeah,
Bolt Hound
really
plus
getting
that
punished for
1-cost
that
spell.
now. Yeah, because Firebrand would have been great to see.
Yeah, and then like the worst feeling is accepting that you need to play the Spikefield Hazard this turn when you could have last turn,
Yeah,
which sometimes will cause a bit of a sunk cost fallacy. That is that's an Archmage Charm in a 3-color deck.
yeah, and at this
And
point, you don't
well,
have too much reason to
yeah.
play up the
Well,
hazard.
notably, what I was gonna say is Archmage Charm. I say you should treat as a 5-drop, and it was functionally 5 mana in that
Yeah.
case, and a fine spell when you need
Oh yeah,
at turn 5 longer. It's not a bad spell. It's just hard to cast.
yeah, totally, totally tolerable.
The other thing that I would say you really want to play out this Spikefield Hazard for is 5 mana means you don't need to cast spells anymore. You can just activate this Dragonkin Berserker to get 5/5
Yeah.
dragons.
Yeah,
Which
and now if they do get the
seems
situation where
beneficial
they
to
draw a
me.
land, they're still waiting 2 turns to
Yep.
activate.
Phoenix of Ash,
And
please
and
play this
now you
Spikefield
want,
Hazard.
ideally you'd want to have the extra land here to play Firebrand, Infuriate, like
Yeah. 4 mana is actually pretty important for the mono red deck. Um, Shadow Skull Smashing clears that.
board is clear
Um,
again. We have the escape able to happen here.
yeah, Phoenix of
Um,
Ash is going to uh, present some problems. Phoenix of Ash escapes, and I guess I'd say you play the Firebrand.
so I think
There was also an argument for using Infuriate to actually guarantee that damage
yeah,
getting through.
that's
It would
actually
put
what I
them
think I would
to
have
4.
done.
It
Yeah,
would have put
so
them to
that would have put him to
4.
4, and then from there you can escape Phoenix of Ash again, and then cast
Or
Firebrand for the win.
or you could have used Ramunap Ruins plus Pillar of
Yeah.
Flames here and killed them outright. And
Oh, Inferno, that's a lot to deal with.
on board right now,
They swing in with it.
Dragons is exactly 1 off lethal, but they only get 1 turn.
Oh.
So they missed
So
one. They missed that
yeah.
1 extra damage with by not using the Infuriate, or 2. I don't actually remember, but they missed
Yeah.
at least 1 damage, which Pillar of Flame would have gotten happen. It wasn't inherently the worst play because Infuriate can be used later on, but it is the hardest to connect piece of damage in the hand right now. And
There's
now Inquisition and
Inquisition, which
Kozilek.
is gonna get rid of this pillar.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I think you wanted to play out that pillar a lot earlier so that you can make sure if I draw anything, it's a win. In this case, it might not matter.
This does,
But it does matter in
and
this case.
now their
And now it's
Inferno
game.
does present enough of enough damage to kill. In this case, +3, I believe. Minute was attacking for 9.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot could have gone differently there, depending on how Dwagons sequenced and
Got the damage out of the spells that were presented.
yeah.
I think this is an okay hand to keep, considering that 5 of the 6 cards alongside this one land are 1 mana.
Yeah, you
But
can play most of your hand, and
you really want at least one more mana source because you want to be double spelling.
yeah, which happens, and that's
2 creatures.
nice and easy.
Yeah, this is a very good start now. Even with 1 land, this would still be a good start. It just this is now a really good start. Barthling is looking to what?
Is this deck on Wizard's Lightning?
You asked me a question I can't answer yet. 1 second.
It is not. I feel like it.
Nope.
This is obviously not every hand, but
There's a lot of wizards in this.
there's
board.
sure 3 wizards on the battlefield.
Bonecrusher Giant comes and clears the most problematic of them. We have another aggressive 1-drop, continuing the threats coming in. Honestly, Frostbite is going to be hard to get out of the hand without it being a problem. And you want to spells in the graveyard to make this G2 Lava Runner a little bit more powerful.
Although you do have the option. Ooh, Demonic Tutor is.
I think this would indicate to me that I want to get as much damage through as possible, as soon as possible.
So
A
notably,
tutor
they
for my
don't have
opponent means
double
I'm
red.
putting the pedal down. Well, yes, but they also could have Extinction Event. I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah. Or
If
they
they're
can
caring
find
about
Extinction Event here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Extinction Event's in the in the deck, which means Demonic Tutor at the base here can grab Extinction Event, and knowing that fact, this is an open deck list event, which means I do not think, even if I get the untapped land, I am comfortable playing out the
you
Rampage
hold
of
on this
Ferocidon.
Ferocidon.
And there's a few other options depending on what's in hand. Like if Barfling can swing it, Enter the God Eternals would be a huge life swing. But Borderland Marauder is a good answer for potentially getting an Extinction Event here. But it looks like they may have had,
And
they may have known
anger.
they had the red mana, so they just angered the gods. Or that's not even what they tutored for. Like, they could have tutored for the red mana for anger, or they could have tutored for the anger because they had the red mana. But this is firmly going into Barfling's court here.
Yeah.
Bonecrusher Giant is a threat, and a threat that's
a threat that takes both of these spells to take care of at the moment.
At the moment, one more snow land means Frostbite is a clean answer. Counterspell means Dragons no longer has anything to pressure with, and instead is under pressure on their own side.
And
quite
Hall of the
heavily.
Storm Giants is gonna make this a very
well.
Yeah, that's game.
Yeah, that's game. There's no way, because Hall of the Storm Giants is just a kill on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
good control play. I have a feeling that the anger was already there. and the demonic tutor was 4 red source. That would be
Yeah.
my guess.
Um, well, now we're going to be heading over to another match where we're seeing control versus mid range from
Rakdos mid range versus what control?
Azorius control, white blue,
Mm. By
which
Daniel Tovar, who is a very um, consistent player of Azorius control in this format, and
absolutely
just resolved a
Seagate
Seagate
restoration.
restoration, which um, I'm gonna be honest with you, might not have saved them anyway.
Nope. It immediately
Yeah,
shows that's not the case.
yeah.
Some interesting at least one interesting new card in this deck from Midnight Hunt is uh, the new Teferi who slows the sunset. Um, who in this deck, I think primarily taps creatures and untaps your lands. Um, it's definitely an interesting thing to see tried out here. I'm interested in how it does. So, this is sure a Rakdos control hand. Is it good? Well, apparently they said no, and this second hand looks a lot better. Let's see. So, uh, the one issue is that this doesn't do anything in the first 2 turns. But that's more fine against control, especially white blue that doesn't have as
Yeah.
many
All of
ways
these
to instantly
cards,
win.
all these cards are good threats against control. Simprotter,
Yeah.
extra cards are damage. Nighthawk Scavenger, Life Swing. Honestly, the least
Yeah.
impactful card against control, and maybe what I would have led with. Colgan's Command, very good value. Get a creature back.
So,
You just got censored already. You probably want to play out a land first.
yeah.
At least
Um,
I wouldn't be
yeah,
one not to. Contact other plane. It's the worst of these effects we have on Arena, but it is one of them.
but it ended up fine. The
Yeah.
dice were in favor.
Extinction
I
Event is not a card you want to see drawn here, though.
yeah,
Um, I think, yeah, Nighthawk Scavenger.
seal away to take out the scavenger. Um, yeah, not too much you can do.
And yeah, this is everything that Mutilator wants. Um, Colgan's Command is going to attempt to get some value back, but there's still 3 mana up,
Yeah,
which is prime counterspell territory, and that's not.
opt. Okay.
Mm,
Could we see
it actually
nothing? Okay.
resolved. It resolved. That's impressive. That and that says one of two things in my eyes. One, that it's this is a essence scatter coming here.
Yeah. Um, it could be an essence scatter.
Or two, it's
Single
a
target removal.
single target removal like
Yeah.
Swords of Plowshares, or they have a Wrath of God that they want to use.
Yeah. I do want to say I think Sin Prodders, for the most part, being a little bit slept on. It's
There's a swords like we thought,
yep.
and unfortunately, Cut just doesn't have a target and is a finisher, which
Yeah.
this game is not close to being finished.
Speaking of finishing, the
I
game
don't
might
like
actually
that
be.
card in these decks, but it's
I
probably
don't
gonna
either, but
do the job
yeah,
because you know
I think it's gonna win here because Tire Worm has
you're
drawn nothing relevant.
Yeah, it's the classic case of you're playing against a low creature control deck and you draw your creature removal.
Yep.
Um, Banishing Light is the take, and
There's
you've
an
got as this Rakdos deck, you have 5 turn. No, you got 3 turns to
yeah.
uh. Oh, okay. That's
They think one of these is good enough that
they're not gonna go. They're not
they're
gonna set it
not
up
gonna
such that
speed
they
things
can.
up a little bit faster. Chandra Awakened Inferno isn't quite fast enough to do it, but
Yeah, because they would have been able to, like, if they had done
they
what
would
they
have
were
been able to
supposed to.
win this turn.
Yes.
Now they win next turn.
Um, I think there's one out. Let me check. Uh, I don't think Distractor's mid-range deck has any way to force a shuffle.
Shuffle or yeah, because they're not on things like Field of Ruin. Um and at this point it is
Like, functionally, right? They were like this board state is developing very well,
yeah.
but
You have
the approach to
a
the second
zero
sun,
turn clock on the
uh, yeah, and like they got an extra turn that they really shouldn't have because there was some card that apparently was better than winning the game in 2
yeah.
turns.
Um
And I couldn't rightly tell you what that is. Um,
I'm trying to find like anything that mills. It probably so I think if you have like if you see a counter
oh,
spell,
Gonti.
yeah,
Gonti was the out.
yeah, Gonti is the out, yeah. I think if you see a counter spell, you might take it just in case they have the Gonti or they have a way to like rebuy the Kolagon's command. You
Robber the Rich wouldn't have worked because they were at equal cards in hand,
yeah.
I believe.
Uh yeah, they would have been at equal cards at least at that point. Um
Yes.
but yeah,
Let's
I think at that
see.
point if you're
Other
keeping anything on top,
options.
it's just to keep the win safe against like Gonti or a way to shuffle.
Yeah.
So I can see there's a very small subset of cards that I can reasonably say, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would have been basically just Gonti with
Yeah.
in most cases, because there's no way that Robert the Rich was going to be able to trigger on the right timing.
Um, it
Most specifically
it didn't
because
have so if they had kept up check for traps, then Rankle also would have been an out.
uh, you force them to draw it and then you exile it.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, but again, it was only that would only have that's only true because of the ordering that this player
Yeah.
the opponent did. If they had done what we were expecting them to do and scry 2 to the bottom and then left up the scry, um, in that
Ooh.
case, the only thing that would have stopped it would have been a Gonti.
So yeah, now we're gonna go to Joker Boney and Cat Moozy for uh the Is It Pyro versus Bant mid range. We are coming in on game 2 with
And I nothing against
multiple
Cat Muzi, but
lieutenants.
this is a board state where I would put Cat Muzi in the advantage column. Also, um, new little bug that came out after this set release. Apparently, Vivi Monster's Advocate makes some
Very
very
glowy beasts.
yes, but specifically, I believe Vivian transfers the glow from her thing to the other.
Yeah, I
I don't
don't
actually
know.
really know what or how or why,
But
but it happens.
all of these beasts sure will have that
Yeah, they sure
weird
have had
shield around
that
them.
that thing. Sarah the Benevolent comes in, and we got a bunch of flyers that are outclassing the flyers that this blue red deck are currently.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh
that one stuck up on me. Presenting.
yeah, 4/4 and 4/5 flyers do pretty well against 3 power flyers. And
Yeah.
you also have this 3/3 with reach as backup.
I'm I'm kind of surprised to see that attack. That losing both of your things that make tokens when you block, because am I misremembering?
It's
Does the
Lieutenant doesn't trigger on any counter. It has to be +1/+1.
thank you.
This
Niv
Niv
Mizzet.
Mizzet's gonna end things.
You see, I'm not actually so sure.
Those get lifelink encounters.
Yeah, so you throw on God Eternal Kefnet and on. Oh, okay, that's actually a good shout. And then you can hash up Oasis to make the Beast token a threat as well, and that this actually forces enough blockers that I think Joker's fine here.
Yeah. I think this instance might not require Niv Mizzet to block, but it requires at least 2 of the. No,
It
it
does
requires
require
all
Niv.
3 to block. Yeah,
Yes,
and all possible blocks
none of them
kill
can
Niv
possibly
Mizzet.
trade. Yeah,
That's
this was a very good string
yeah,
of attacks and a very good use of utility lands in a deck like this.
yeah. That's
Um,
a very smart way to get round Niv Mizzet because especially in this matchup, that's the kind of card that ends game.
yeah. If the Mizzet had been on the battlefield for like even a turn, I honestly think that
Well, if Niv
Tatmuzi would
Mizzet
have been able
got
to take
even
it.
one trigger, it makes things way harder.
Yes,
And hence why Joker Boney decided not to reveal the Charta course,
despite it being
despite it being
beneficial to
really
do
good
so.
uh to grab. Just can't afford Niv Mizzet to trigger even once.
If you can help it. Also, just the power of Bertrand Stronghold combined with the Hash Up Oasis.
Yeah,
Those
that's
are
5
the
power for 2 lands.
specific cases where it's just good. Now, really looks like Joker is planning on using Brainstorm turn one. Abundant
Decides instead
Harvest.
to use Abundant Harvest to grab a land.
Okay, they had 3 lands,
Yeah,
so also Siren Insight is a include that I was not fully expecting, to be perfectly honest.
yeah, and this
Um,
is not exactly the matchup for it to ostensibly
no,
shine.
it's not really gonna
Yeah,
connect very
it
often.
it relies on you having creatures that aren't killed, and Joker Bunny
Um,
doesn't have a ton of those, and Catmuzi
yep,
has a lot of kills.
yeah. So I expect to see a tap land and a declaration stone on this magmatic channeler. Really?
Yeah,
I guess they're gonna play the
maybe they
Nimble
tried to
Obstructionist.
cycle to counter the ability or just
I
attack with
they're
it.
not. Huh. Okay. I guess they. No, this was Nimble. I see the benefit of Nimble Obstructionist. I just think that the Magmatic Channeler, when your opponent has 2 cards, is somewhat important to try and present, especially when the thing you're holding up for is the next one. Maybe you're looking to try and force interaction to guarantee that the questing beast resolves.
Yeah,
And which I mean, to be honest, I think that's just the way that
Yeah,
was. Um, though Channeler online means you now need to deck and stone it.
yeah.
And I
So
expect to see Styring Insight on Questing Beast here,
yeah, that at least sounds the most fun.
especially considering that they just played a tap land. If they didn't play a tap land, they could have played Redain.
Yeah, so there is an interesting option here where you can staggering insight the questing beast and just be like, here's a big dumb creature that's gonna kill your
Well,
magmatic channeler, maybe.
the thing was that the Magmatic Channeler was going to couldn't contest the Questing Beast as a 5/5, and the Young
Yeah,
Pyromancer can't block it. So the Staggering Insight did get the Questing Beast through,
yeah,
but killing the Channeler did take away their biggest threat, and also their ability to dig in a way that mattered. Um, so I think I'm
I
not sure
wrote.
what the mistake Kamusi made was, but they did say oops, so maybe they missed a removal spell that was good enough to hit Questing Beast and
Yeah.
accidentally clicked a different thing.
Well,
Because right now,
yeah.
there's a huge problem that needs to be solved, and they're currently not solving it.
That's there's our the card that I've been hyping up this whole
It's
stream,
not going to
Memory
matter.
Deluge. It's not gonna matter because this
Vivian's just
game's
going to come
practically
in.
already done.
Yeah, I think. Uh, interesting.
Like
Are we playing the. Okay.
Valkmira. Okay.
I guess.
I
No, I
guess it
don't. I don't
means
fully understand what this is doing.
I guess it means that it can't be like soul seared, and
It can't be
the
soul seared.
the only things that potentially hit it are unholy heat and burning hands. I don't know if those are in
Yeah,
the deck.
but Vivian Monsters Advocate or God Eternal Caffeinet just presented lethal.
Yeah, or Redain.
Yeah, like every other play presented lethal this turn, and this play
So
now they need to hit something with Memory Deluge, which they easily could,
yeah, there's a pretty good chance that they do, but
but then they
they
do.
do.
But they put themselves in a position where they had to get get
Yeah,
this happening, which I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of.
yeah. It's
Because functionally, this like the
and notably doing that means that they don't win the game this turn now.
yeah. I mean, doing that also does show that the only win, like Vivian wouldn't have been a win, but either of the other flyers would have
Yeah.
done that one extra damage.
Um. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Actually. No. No. Yeah. No. All both
And
of the
specifically,
flyers would have
what I would
killed.
say is that this gives Katmuzi an extra as counter activation, which could
Yeah,
have
which
found
can be
Unholy
bad.
Heat, which would have been enough to clear the questing beast and then
Yeah.
potentially build a board state to come back.
And that was the last match. Are
Yeah.
we gonna take a break? Yeah, we're gonna take
Yes,
a
we're
break
gonna
real
take
quick,
a
and then we're
quick
coming.
throw to between round 4 and 5, and then we'll be back with whatever matchups are coming in round 5. They seem to
Yeah,
be quite a few here.
we will see you later. And we're back.
Hello, everyone. So, I like a good aggro mirror, don't you, Seismic?
I do. It's one of my favorite mirrors to see. I'm weird in that I like control mirrors a little bit more, especially when they're played at a at a high level. But
Yeah, control
aggro
mirrors are
mirrors are,
slow because people are not understanding how the interactions work, are different than
yeah.
control mirrors that happen because they're control mirrors, right?
But point is, aggro mirrors are always interesting, especially at high level plays where there's more interesting decisions, especially with like removal, trades that happen, aggressive blocks or attacks. Like
It's a
there's a
big
lot of,
deal of figuring out where you stand on aggressing versus defending,
yeah.
and
And
the
so,
player that is more elegant in maneuvering that dance will often be the one that wins.
yeah. And in this matchup, we're seeing mono white aggro versus mono white aggro again. Uh, and it's leading off
Uh,
with an Esper Sentinel.
yeah, leading off with
And
a one drop versus your opponent not playing a one drop is big game. I kind of think you still attack with the Esper Sentinel here.
yeah,
Yeah.
you still
Um,
offer the trade here.
because
Um,
you were the player with the one drop, attacking uh allows your opponent to decide that they are on the defense, which you want them to feel like they are.
yeah. Uh,
Battlefield Raptor is an unfortunate follow up. It and I
it,
don't.
it's a comedically specific answer.
Yeah, that
Ooh, that
holds to that sort
doesn't
of a
work.
play. You know, exactly. Um, at the same time, though, getting the trials is a fine play,
Yeah.
but maybe they're just gonna play Resplendent Angel. Could also uh, really go in on the I am the aggressor and Fairy Guide Mother plus play Fairy Guide Mother to get
Yeah.
in for 4. But Seasoned Hollow Blade is a bit of a hard one because it forces blocks and allows Kithian to turn dead cards in hand into effectively removal spells once blocking becomes a required aspect of this game.
Yeah.
We're gonna uptick I imagine on the cleric. Understandable. None of these are gonna be attacking. I would expect to see a Hollow Blade attack from Kithian, and I would expect to see an Esper Sentinel block from Manny Cavalera
Yeah.
here. Um,
I think block by Battlefield Raptor is roughly equivalent.
it's roughly equivalent, except Code Spell Cleric makes it
Yeah.
less equivalent.
They choose the Sentinel, and I'm gonna assume that this is going to be a discarded card on
I,
Kithian's side.
I can't imagine that all 4 cards are better than keeping the Hollow Blade in play.
Yeah.
Throwing away Cathar Commando.
Yeah, Cathar Commando, which is one of my favorite
Mm,
cards
yeah, new flash threat.
from Midnight Hunt. Yeah. Um,
Well, I mean, at least Manny Cavalera has a bit of a off turn here. Paladin class, while a functional spell definitely is very slow to come into use.
yeah. It takes a bit
Um,
of time to get that set up, and uh,
would have been much better as just another threat.
yeah. Although if Kithian like draws a land, uh, then they can equip sword and activate the paladin class to get the anthem effect,
Yeah.
which
The
turns something
annoying
like Hollow
thing,
Blade into a
yeah, I think the
huge.
Hollow Blade is going to be attacking here, and there's not going to be blocking no matter. They're
Oh
not going
yeah,
to block it no matter where it goes. And honestly, leveling up the Paladin class, while it would make things annoying, isn't doing anything on the current board state other than making the Seasoned Hollow Blade not die to the Fairy Guide Mother. Um, and I'm yeah, which means this is just looking to be a little more of the play. Gideon doesn't really care about being high loyalty, so it's taking the damage it can. And Dancing Sword, I think they're considering a re-equip to Seasoned Hollow Blade.
Yeah. Decides not to, has this 2 open mana up.
Interesting. So, Banishing Light. Do you play it or do you play both your 2-drops?
Um, I think that's actually a good question. I think here I might uh
I think
play
I
both my
think
2-drops,
yeah.
because then that allows you to attack in the air for a good chunk.
Yeah, you keep back like the fairy.
Yeah, you keep
Like
back
keep back
fairy.
fairy guide mother probably. You
Yeah,
buff the battlefield raptor, or just mostly because even though the
yeah,
remorseful color can't do damage, it still can block,
yeah.
which means
You
you
need,
can't get in for 7 here.
yeah,
You only get in for 6. Uh, then play out your other creature. You do have a decent set of blockers here. Hollow Blade still is a bit of a bit of a hard nut to crack, but development wise, Mana Cavalera is coming out on top. We'll see what the response is. There's a few options that I think would end up very heavily favored for Kithian's side. A removal spell hitting Daybreak Charger would swing things in one way. But just this naked attack, forcing blocks, does force blocks, Battlefield Raptor on the Seasoned
yeah,
Hollow Blade, Pack Leader likely on the Code Spell Cleric.
yeah. I think it's kind of a toss up for that second block there. I think
Yeah. Pack
uh
Leader does attack indestructibly, which is
yeah.
decent. And then doesn't Dancing Sword do a thing when the creature is equipped to
Uh,
dies?
yeah, the equipment becomes a 2/1 with flying and ward 1.
Yes. Sigrid. Okay.
Sigrid's an interesting one.
I
I
think
think
what that means is you plus on the Remorseful Cleric attack with everything.
um I might still keep
Keep
behind
back
the
Fairy Guide Mother.
charger, or the guide mother. Uh
But Manny has decided that they are trying to get damage in, so I would be very surprised to see anything other than attack right now.
yeah.
They're keeping back the Charger. No? Keeping back both? No? There you go.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
no?
oh.
Yes? Yes.
Decides
6 damage.
yes. Going in for 6 damage. I think
Because,
you're happy with the trade with the sword anyway.
yeah, the trade with the sword is fine. And had this gotten through, they were presenting a lethal board for the next turn, which would be
Yeah.
beneficial. Sigrid, I imagine they're going to drop down on the Seasoned Hollow Blade as it attacks the Gideon for an additional time.
Ooh,
Guardian of Faith?
Guardian of Faith makes this Sigrid play that's probably going to happen.
Even better.
Yeah, even
The
better because it.
Sigrid notably has first strike, but the thing is, it's really a question of if they tier level up the
Yeah,
paladin class or not, because they haven't had any timing to do that yet, so they have to do it now, which
they
is
do.
fine.
Yeah,
Um, if they attack in like so, Sigrid comes in and I think hits the Hollow Blade.
yeah. You gotta
Fairy
hit the Hollow
Godmother
Blade.
blocks the thing,
Correct.
and then
And now you can uh,
if you
banishing light one and uh, Gideon the other, and
yeah
just start
banishing
getting
like
in
one
for
getting the
damage.
other, yeah, I guess
Well,
Banishing
yeah,
like the paladin class, because this
means
makes it so
that the
Sigrid gets
Sigrid still
in.
gets to attack with impunity.
Yeah, I mean, what that does make leave Gideon vulnerable to a pump spell killing him.
Yeah. Uh,
Intrepid
like Intrepid
adversary
Adversary.
gets
Uh,
doesn't kill,
but not enough. Yeah.
just barely doesn't, but doesn't. Um,
So now I think you
Valorous stance.
does not hit
I
anything right now, and it would have if they had
yeah,
kept the Paladin
paladin
class.
class. Funny. I think yeah, you're
Yeah,
you're in beatdown mode here, and beatdown mode means attacking with everything.
and
I would attack with the Sigrid as well personally, but I'm not
yeah,
as
I
good
think part
at
of the thing is that like they just won't make a block where it's profitable.
true. Yeah, so giving the Resplendent Marshal Indestructible here, 4 is still going to get through. They're going to go to 1, and they're going to need due to the way things are set up here, they're going to need to, how do I say this?
Notably, this adversary can't attack.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's where I was trying to go. I lost my words for a second. I was thinking of too many things at once. Slavery Inspector finding a draw for okay.
Oh, okay. Kabir
That's
takedown
still
changes.
that's no. The Severe
So
takedown what wait. Oh yes, it allows them
yeah,
to attack with the adversary.
get adversary, which gains
Go to
them
5.
4.
Okay. Okay, this
This
is a
game
game
got a lot
again.
more interesting.
Though I
Yeah, there.
I think you still yeah, you still have to do that.
Yeah.
The Tithe Taker block.
So now you have to attack with the adversary anyway, because
Yeah, adversary
you have to
attack is
gain the
forced.
4 life.
Yeah.
Um, and
Tithe Taker means 4 damage is coming back, so plus 2 damage from anything does kill Kithian, or some way to survive the next round of attacks and still attack
yeah,
themselves.
Raptor is a
Raptor is
way to
enough of a
not
blocker to
die.
stop to. Oh, and they would have lost if they didn't have that
Yeah,
Raptor. But notably, also, like we said, this is a way here. No, they are
yeah.
exactly dead still.
Well,
That
they
the
go to
Raptor was
-1.
required and the Tapper was required
Yeah,
in to make that particular uh,
they had to
uh
not die and then
combat.
also have a way to tap. Yeah,
Yeah. So good top decks from Kithian in those last 2 turns to really seal that game. Uh, very good start from Manny here. 2 2-1s for 1. Uh,
this
on the
notably lets
play.
you either order that you play these in is pretty good.
Yeah, I
And this
think I
is one
want
of
to
the few
lead
times where you
Knight.
can play, yeah, one of the few times you can play Bodyguard second.
And not feel awful about it.
Yeah.
The token is unfortunate, but I think you play Healer's Hawk, you play Bodyguard on the Healer's Hawk. And
Yeah.
then you just attack him with a 2-1. If it dies, you make the Bodyguard bigger.
Yep.
They're taking the block. Maybe even forgot that this ability was there because it's so rarely used.
It almost never comes up, but here it's not bad.
Yeah. Now Kithian is tasked with having their own response. First strike 2-1 was say 2 power first strike will often do it. Fateful Absence, even with the extra attacks, does answer that cleanly.
Yep.
And
then that's gonna be another 4 damage and a luminous brood moth next turn, which
yeah.
I don't
And
know how good that is as its
well,
effect in this matchup.
in this particular case, Dauntless Bodyguard has this secret ability of also being
Oh,
able to protect Luminous Broodmoth.
yeah.
Because you sacrifice it once, it comes back, and you name the Broodmoth, and then you do it again. In this case, though, Broodmoth not coming down. Instead, we're going to see Banalish Marshal both attack. Griffin block happens. I don't think they're going to spend the 4 damage
Yeah.
from Bodyguard to keep the
To keep a hawk
1/1
alive.
Hawk
That
alive.
doesn't
Yeah.
even come back off of this Broodmoth later.
No.
Yeah. Uh, Notably, I think you can still sacrifice the Dauntless Bodyguard.
Yes, you still can.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything, but that's honestly enough when you have the Broodmoth out.
Paladin class. I know I've just been on the I don't like Paladin class train for a while now. But I still think that it's not really shown very much power in these particular matches. It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, I'm
It
I'm not
it's
impressed.
taxed 1 mana so far, and it's done a reasonable pump until it was removed.
Huh. Borrowed time is just another banishing light, isn't it? It's
Yep.
literally just banishing light, but huh.
Yeah.
I did
Uh
not
Kithian is
really.
running Kithian is on both Banishing Light and Borrowed Time. Manny Calvera is on uh just
Interesting
uh
choice.
just Banishing Light.
I
But
would
they
have.
are functionally the same.
I'm confused with the not activating Cave of the Frost Dragon there.
Yeah, what did they spend their man? Did they spend their
They
mana
they
on
they
anything?
they cracked a clue.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's worth.
I think they thought they could do both, and then it didn't
Mm,
work. Because their opponent would have been at 3 here.
yeah,
The Cave of the Frost Dragon is still a problem, which, you know, but actually it's not going to be a problem for very long because Paladin class is going to make this Controlling Slingwing just slightly big enough
to
to block it. But
block
you
it
do get
for.
1 in.
Yeah, you get one in here. You put them to 2, and then you have a similar situation the turn after, unless you crack this clue. Okay, so things could be worse.
Yeah, I appreciate the pressure. I appreciate the clue probably was correct there. I'm still scratching my head at the clue activation before. Uh, Part
Speaking of
especially with
appreciating, uh, we appreciate in cash with the raid. Thank you, Mark.
yeah, another content creator around Gladiator
Yeah.
does a lot of things at various time zones throughout the day. I honestly could not keep track. Cave of the Frost Dragon, and this is a lethal attack. I
So
and Kithian
yeah,
agrees.
and we're going into game 3 of the mono white aggro mirror. This is a hand where this cycling land is really awkward, but
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter here, but it's one of the reasons I don't like even considering
Yeah,
playing the cycling lands, even when I'm mono-colored, because it just a tap land needs a lot of reason to exist in my eyes when it comes to aggro decks like this. I'm
yeah,
kind of surprised to see that trade, but I guess the Tithe Taker does kind of change
yeah.
how this particular board is going to work.
And I don't think
Um,
if you're Manny, you're not really planning on activating the boast of this, of that Usher anytime
yeah,
soon.
Maul of the Skyclaves is a very good one, but I think Benalish Marshall does eke it out a little bit here.
Yeah.
Tide Taker trades will happen.
And
Um,
Manny wins out on the trade value just because of this
2/2
Marshall.
versus 1/1 Marshall makes it
Yeah.
better. And then Maul of the Skyclaves theoretically is going to come in, make the Marshall a flying threat, and then they get in for a bunch in the air.
Yep.
Um,
And if this secluded step were just a basic planes, um, this would allow a guarantee next turn of casting this maul and not drawing the opponent a card.
mhm.
But
Indeed, indeed,
sometimes things
indeed.
like that don't matter.
I think there's a consideration here of using Banishing Light on the Law Rune Enforcer, which is about to
That seems
happen.
like it's going to be the
Auto pay
case.
on the Esper Sentinel trigger, and
Guardian of Faith.
very well.
That's a way to blank Banishing Light.
Yeah, I think when it comes to threats here, Kithian has a tapper for whatever problem Manny's going to present. Um, Banishing Light comes in and hits the Banalish
Ooh,
Marshal.
yeah.
Um, and now
This is a
this is
Banishing Light
a
where you did not want to lose.
Skymarcher Aspirant, Fairy Guide Mother, Secluded Step probably needs to be cycled. No, just being played.
Not
Um,
I don't see much I don't see much reason to not cycle that. But ooh, there's Intrepid Adversary, which has proven its weight both uh both the times it's come up. And an Anthem
yeah,
here
and
is
I
really
think
impactful.
yeah, the the
I
snowball has left the station,
Yeah, I
and
think you're not in the
I'm
great spot now. Like,
yeah. So now
Maul
Esper
only does so
Sentinel
much.
is gonna draw your opponent a card. You're what throw it on the
It doesn't
token,
matter. Like,
but it's gonna get the
I
tapper still will make it go down the selfless saviors here, but the best you can do right is just block to survive, and then
and then you lose the
what
next
from
turn. Yeah.
yeah. It's just a
Yeah, Adversary
unfortunate case.
does so much in
Yeah,
this
adversary is
deck.
very good, and the fact like aggro in our format loves having those like impactful fours, like adversary is at 4 mana, but
Yeah.
also right, adversary is just a fine 2 drop. It's not an
Yeah.
amazing 2 drop, but it's a fine 2 drop.
No attacks here, but
I'm
no
Kithian.
punishment from that fact.
Yeah, Kithian is playing really conservatively where they are on the beatdown.
Yeah.
Um, also missed a Law Rune Enforcer tap on the end step, which would have guaranteed a lethal. I think lethal is still guaranteed here. Um, so I'm
Well, do keep in mind that there is an extra
yeah, there's
blocker.
still an extra blocker, I'm aware. But even the extra blocker um 4 versus 6 and any two it's I guess two damage can get through and they can go to 1 theoretically. Law Rune Enforcer tapping down the token. No.
There's the full attack, but
Full
no
attack. No tap.
no tapping down the spirit, which means that Manny can block the adversary with the spirit so that both Kithian doesn't gain life and that the anthem goes away before regular damage.
Yeah, this is
That's a
a
potentially really big uh
problem. It's
yeah.
just a problem. Like you put the spirit in front of the adversary, you put the 2/1 in front of the Guardian of Faith. You block the Usher of the Fallen, you block the Esper Sentinel, you make a 1/1, you block the when you make a 1/1, you block the Esper Sentinel, you put the Fairy Guide Mother underneath the token. I would expect to see something tricky here,
So
but
there might be a trick based off the clock, but the other thing that the clock might be running out is Usher of the Fallen.
yeah, Usher the Fallen is a boast ability, right?
Yeah.
So it's just
So
always going to be used. I just I Kithian had a very open win if they had used the one mana they had floating on the end of Manny's turn last turn to tap down anything and then tap down one more thing.
yeah,
Three blockers versus six attacks. You can't block enough to survive that, no matter.
almost no
Uh,
matter what they have.
yeah, there's like I'm not gonna say there's nothing that they could have had, but I don't think there's not anything that they're running that would have
Yeah.
stopped it.
Wait.
But the first
Are,
strike's not going.
well, oh.
Oh,
Oh no. Manny, I don't think Manny sees the line.
this still is gonna work the
Yeah.
way that we want it. We generally want it to. But this is a much better position for Kithian.
Yeah. Because they get to keep
They
far.
well they get 2 damage in. They keep the life link. Um,
Well,
cause
they
you know
don't
they
keep
get
the life link, but they still gain the
they
life.
they they keep the life link. Yeah, they keep the life gain. Um, whereas the line we were talking about, I think they ended up at 2. In
Yeah.
this case, being at 1, uh,
So
this is
it's
not. Yeah, Manny's not dead here.
yeah, Manny's still not dead. Um,
A land
yeah.
and activating Cave of the Frost Dragon kills. Any extra piece of removal
Well,
kills.
cave costs 5.
Does it? I
Yeah.
thought it was 4. Oh, well, my bad.
So
Any piece of removal kills. Um, yeah, this has been
this is okay, this is a lot more interesting.
yeah. The attack was a little loose. The block was a little loose, and it kind of canceled each other out.
Yeah. Notably, Manny is not on Cathar Commando, which is like now my go-to for assuming enchantment removal, which means
Mm-hmm.
this Banalish Marshal is probably stuck under Banishing Light for good.
Yeah. Do they have anything else?
Um, Not for specifically
Enchantments.
enchantments,
They need
but
just a banishing light of their own to kill
yeah,
their opponent's
which
banishing
they've
light.
already used. Um,
What? Oh,
ooh,
did Kithian? Yeah, yeah. We, I don't know. The voice in my ear is letting us know that Kithian actually has got a full timeout and has no timeouts remaining. They might have
this
left. Yeah.
yeah.
They
This might be a disconnect or
yeah, and if that was
yeah,
a disconnect,
we
right? Like now what would be have been really bad? Yeah,
and that's a
okay.
timeout loss.
Um
Oh,
I think what happened actually was that full attack, they had something in hand that would have done it, and they disconnected as that happened.
yeah.
And that you hate to see like you were it's like you're so close. You're so
Yeah.
close to that one bit, and then the machine that you're using to interact with this is
And then the
just
fates
betrays you.
decide, no.
Obviously, we can't declare
Yeah.
anything, but that feels the closest to what happened, considering the attack and considering the way that it ended up.
Yeah, but that entire game
Anywho,
and all three of those games were really tight and really close for pretty much the whole match. That was a pretty good match, and I think that's going to be a pretty good place to end off the stream today.
yeah, we've had a
And
great time, and I think you will continue to have a great time in a slightly different format, Canadian Highlander, but a good friend of the Gladiator format, Benjamin
yeah,
Wheeler, is doing some sort of brewing around Canadian Highlander over on their stream right now. So
and
stick around for
so
just a moment and we'll head on over there.
we'll see you all later.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming out. It has been a pleasure casting for you all. I think if we can keep these tournaments, both with turnout and just the players that have come in, it's been great. I'm, yep, I am happy to have been here for you all.
And I'm happy
See
to
you
have
later.
been Seismic Lawns.
There we go.